What do you mean there's nothing in front of us? Baldreg asks. How is that ambiguous? Ivan drawls back. There's nothing in front of us. No movement. Some wind and that's it. Nothing. Triggers my danger sense in that direction either, Fulvia confirms. It's as blank as good farmland. Well, that's what we have Claretta for, Baldreg answers. Claretta? All eyes swing my way. I shrug. You're all as fungicidal as I can make you, I insist for probably the 5th time. I still haven't detected a hint of it, but at this point I hope it's spores. We're best equipped for that, since Ivan never shuts up about it. Ivan flips me a nasty hand sign and I smirk back at him. As the team's biomancer, I've saved their lives several dozen times and they know better than to backsass me too much. We're all hunters, naturally, sent to investigate the drop zone of those black orbs Hive-Rock dumped on us. Slowly we follow Ivan in, the forest eerily silent around us as we make our way towards the center of whatever is causing this disturbance. Magic enchantments on my allies keep me constantly aware of changes to their health, which should alert me instantly if some amount of toxin or contaminant is introduced, at least in theory. The plants around here seem unaffected by whatever caused this utter lack of animal life, the slight rustle of wind flowing through the top branches being the only sound other than our own footsteps. I see something, Baldreg whispers. I still feel nothing, Ivan answers. Same, Fulvia confirms. Could be a corpse, then. Let's check it out. We approach cautiously, Ivan firing a pellet into the creature's head to no reaction. Sure enough, a corpse is exactly what it is. An inky black creature the likes of which I've never seen lies dead on the forest floor, with 2 bladed forelimbs and 2 raptor-like hindlimbs. Its mouth hangs open, with even its sharp, curved teeth and tongue the same pitch-dark color as the rest of its body. Yet perhaps most notably, why wasn't the corpse eaten? I wonder, prompting a few nods from my teammates. The monster was bitten in quite a few places, having most likely died of blood loss. But whatever bit it to death didn't eat it afterwards. Why? Why kill it and just leave it here? Maybe it's poisonous. Ivan ponders. If it's bad enough to ward off creatures from the area, we'd see other corpses around it, Fulvia insists. Do we burn it? I ask, turning to Baldreg. He shakes his head. No, it would have risen by now if it was going to. I don't want to risk toxic smoke either. We nod in agreement, getting back in formation to move out. More and more black creature corpses litter the ground as we get closer to the center of the dead zone, though each looks different from the last. Some have 4 limbs, some have 6 or 8. Most are chitin covered, though many have fur or just night-like skin. These dark creatures are far from the only corpses around, too. Countless dead monsters of known varieties are strewn about, each having been injured just enough to die, then left to rot. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The whole team is aware that stomping headfirst into an unknown situation this deep into the forest will likely be the death of us. Yet that is exactly what we're here to do. We're hunters. We walk into an unexpected clearing, or at least what will be a clearing for the short time before the forest reclaims it. A devastating scene of destruction lies around us, trees smashed and toppled, corpses strewn everywhere. Most notably, in the center of it all are the remains of the black ovoids dropped by Hive-Rock. Each one is broken either from the fall or from within. Eggs, I hiss. Fulvia wins the bet. Hey, at least it's not spores, Ivan comments wryly. Baldreg thinks for a while, examining the haphazard pyramid of dropped eggs formed from the fall. The black creatures definitely hatched from them, many corpses hanging limply from partially shattered shells as they burst on impact. The sheer number here is massive, creating a towering structure of loosely stacked ovoids. Hundreds, if not thousands of these creatures must have been released into the surrounding forest, slaughtering everything in their path. We're going to cut towards Vayala, Baldreg decides. It's the closest decently sized town. If these monsters are going to be a problem, they'll need to know first. We nod in confirmation, setting back out on high alert. The dead zone seems to hold no further surprises for us, and it's almost with trepidation that we leave it, heading aftward. From there, it's the usual slog, avoiding confrontation as we trek through the deadly forest. The first time we encounter a living specimen of the black creatures, the fight is surprisingly straightforward. Large and ravenous, a massive centipede-like monster rushes directly at us, lacking any apparent thought or subtlety. Baldreg holds it back as Fulvia makes quick work of it. It's just like any other monster, it seems. We continue on, easily dispatching most of the creatures we encounter but taking care to avoid anything that makes either of our two scouts nervous. Each and every inky black beast we stumble on seems ravenously aggressive, barreling towards us on first detection with no thought of self-defense or caution. We try to keep clear of all such creatures, though there are far fewer things roaming the forest than we're used to. The number of remaining monsters that Fulvia insists are out of our weight class is abnormally high. Still, we press on, managing to avoid major dangers, at least for now. "Hold up," Ivan suddenly whispers, causing us to freeze. "I feel nestweaver threads." Fulvia scowls. "I don't feel anything that could be nestweavers, though." "Yeah, me neither," Ivan agrees. "But I'm feeling a lot of threads. Like there was a broodmother here or something." Fulvia and Ivan working in tandem has always been a dream team for our ability to scout threats. Fulvia uses a classic danger sense, but Ivan uses kineticism to feel for movement. While he generally lacks the ability to pick up on fine details, nestweaver threads were a priority to learn the air patterns for, and he learned them well. "We'll have to go check it out," Baldreg sighs. "Point the way, Ivan." He does, and our course changes slightly as Ivan points out hidden threads or simply cuts them down with magic. As we travel, the nestweaver presence becomes more and more obvious, with huge thread-made structures lining the trees that give the creatures their name. Soon, though, we start seeing the corpses. "It's like the dead zone," Baldreg murmurs. "It's worse than the dead zone," I answer. Laid out before us, many creatures are trapped in webs, all dead. All of them have had their limbs bitten off in a startling display of inefficiency, like some monster was trying to keep them alive as long as possible while it tormented them, leaving the corpses to attract more prey into traps once the victims finally died. I share this opinion with the team, to their distress. "Are you sure, Claretta?" Baldreg insists. "If that's true, we're dealing with something that has a degree of intelligence. I don't see any other reason the creature would eat the limbs first. Most of a body's nutrients are going to be in the organs. The wounds are definitely from bites though, and the lack of limbs strewn around implies they're being swallowed." "Shut up," Fulvia snaps. "Something's coming." Midweek. We tense, getting ready to strike. Slowly, one of the black creatures pokes out from behind a tree, peering curiously. This one has 6 legs, yet attached to a more mammal-like torso about the size of a child's. Its 4 front legs taper into points, while its back 2 are thick, with coiled muscles that seem specialized for jumping. The creature tilts its head at us, and after we briefly stare each other down it turns and retreats back into the forest. "Where's it going?" Baldreg asks. "Circling," Ivan mutters back. "Shoot it," Baldreg orders. Ivan does exactly that, pulling a pellet from his pouch and firing it somewhere in the underbrush beyond where I can see. I got a glancing hit. It's running off. "Good," Baldreg nods. "Let's keep going." We continue making slow progress, bit by bit, until Fulvia suddenly calls out. "Two incoming fast. One's way too strong." "Shit." Baldreg curses. "Retreat." Fulvia points a direction and we hoof it fast that way, but she immediately starts swearing again. "Still incoming." Turning to follow us. I sprint past Baldreg as we rapidly reverse formation, turning around just in time to see the little shit we shot at just a few minutes ago rushing at us with an absolutely massive creature snapping at it from behind. Though the small monster's head and face are more insect-like than human, I swear the damn thing is grinning. Then it jukes past us, and the big monster hits. It's another dark one, a lumbering, four-legged beast with two thick, club-like arms. Roaring madly at us, it immediately swaps targets to our team when the little thing runs past us by simple virtue of us being closer. As it swings an arm down, Baldredge steps to the side, giving Fulvia an opening to land a crushing blow while Ivan magically fires more pellets with twice the force of a bow. I, for my part, start singing. Though I'm a biomancer by trade, the talent I was born with is actually metamancy. I understand the complex flows of magic far more easily when manipulating them with my voice than with my hands, and oftentimes instinctively find myself tweaking the structure of spells as I cast them to vary the effects into more beautiful patterns. I can literally heal people with songs, although personally I prefer the upbeat tune that heightens my team's reflexes and perceptions. Bow in hand, I contribute to our gruesome work as my breath flows with music. Although my arrows draw little blood from the exoskeletal beast, I happen to be a damn decent shot. The fight quickly turns in our favor once I nail one of the beast's eyes. Just as quickly, it turns out of our favor as the smaller monster leaps from the brush and hamstrings Fulvia with its teeth. She shrieks in pain, dropping to one knee. Ivan and I let loose projectiles in the smaller monster's direction but fail to land crippling shots, letting the beast rush off once again. Shit! Claretta! Baldredge shouts. I'm already swapping songs, pounding my chest plate 3 times to indicate a major injury. The damn little bastard tore a huge chunk out of the back of Fulvia's knee, hitting an artery and severing important muscles. Grabbing her under the armpits I drag her back, only to watch Ivan turn around and barely dodge another attack from the little one. This is bad, very bad. I have to focus my attention on Fulvia's leg, though. When we get enough distance I put pressure on the wound and focus my magic in there, coaxing her body to repair the damage as quickly as possible. Ivan and Baldredge are each stuck fighting their respective opponent alone, which is without question a losing battle unless I can get Fulvia back on her feet to finish off the big one. The little one breaks contact with Ivan, leaping at Baldredge who barely manages to dodge it and the larger monster. Once again, the little one retreats, leaving half of us guessing on where it might strike from next. The battle carries on this way, and even once I get Fulvia back into the fray she's exhausted from the strain I put on her body by healing her that quickly. Little by little we wear down the huge beast, but more quickly than that, we ourselves are worn down. Suddenly, the big one lands a lucky hit, biting off Baldredge's sword arm and a significant chunk of his shoulder along with it. With horror, I realize I can't save him from that. He's going to die, and after him the rest of us will too. Yet at that moment the little one switches sides, biting at the large monster's back legs. The giant turns its head to kick and Fulvia slams it in the flank, knocking it over. The small monster takes another quick pair of bites before scampering off. Fulvia follows it up with a powerful swing to pulp the larger monster's head. Claretta! Fulvia roars. Get Baldredge. He's dead. I answer, catching my breath. Where's the little one? I thought you said nest weavers made the webs. Fulvia snaps back. Well, I thought they incoming. Ivan turns and fires a shot, missing. The small, black-toothed monster lunges at him, taking a hand, a kidney, and scampering off before Fulvia or I can strike back. Ivan bites down a scream of pain, and once again I'm singing as fast as I can to desperately keep him from bleeding out. We have to move. Fulvia insists. It's just trapping us. Ivan falls unconscious in my arms, but I manage to halt the flow of blood before he dies. Fulvia scoops Ivan onto her back and we run, refusing to give up. Whatever these monsters are, we can't take them. Well, we could take most of them. Just not this one. There's no doubt in my mind it lured the large one on purpose, using it against us. And now, with our group's leader dead and our primary scout down, we don't have anyone that can spot and deal with the nestweaver threads. Just as I feared, I run headlong into a web. Damn it, but what are we supposed to do? If we had been slower, more careful, we would have just been eaten alive. I'm trapped now, though, and it's over. Fulvia tries to free me only to get caught herself. The nestweaver webs tangle us, and in an instant the black-toothed monster is on top of us, layering thicker strands from its forelimbs and binding us up. I stare with horror as it begins to feast, starting with Fulvia's foot. Despite its small size, it chomps through bone in a single bite. Lying bound on my back and waiting for my team to die, I do the only thing I can do. I sing. It's not a magical song, just an old favorite. I've always loved my talent, having blessed me with the kind of voice I need to make good use of it. I sing a song about a lark, a lone bird flying between the islands. Fulvia screams, and I close my eyes to sing louder, tears streaming down my cheekbones. What else is there to do? Suddenly, there's a pressure on my belly. Opening my eyes, I stare face to face with that grinning, ruthless monster, its black teeth stained red. Done with the others so soon, are you? I ask it. It tilts its head, naturally not understanding the words at all. Yet to my surprise, I hear a groan from Fulvia's direction. She's alive. I start singing again, this time a song of healing. The monster just sits on my belly, watching and listening. We're almost certainly going to die, but we're hunters, damn it. I'm not going to just roll over and let it happen. If this thing is full, we might have another chance. Her left leg is completely gone, though. I have magic to restore limbs, but it will take days of treatment. That wretched, six-limbed beast just lounges like a cat on top of me, watching with slow blinking eyes as Fulvia's bleeding ebbs and stops. Then it walks off my stomach and bites off my arm. All I can do is keep singing. Well, shit, here we are, Nora comments happily. Is it just me, guys, or was this mission way easier than the last one? The rest of us trudge out of the forest behind her, looking up gratefully at the distant but finally visible walls of Skyhope. We'd made it to the ring of cleared land around the city, which more or less marks the successful end of our mission. We did well. Bentley agrees excitedly. Everyone is doing much better now. Don't worry, Orville. Bentley answers. You'll get strong, too. You already are. Whatever, Orville grumbles. We were just carried by Penelope and Vita again. I'm too tired to shoot him a sympathetic look, and I'm not sure I could muster a proper one regardless. We got sent out to go scout and destroy Nora in the forest almost immediately on getting back, and I'm still freshly reeling from the aftermath of Lisha. On returning, I'd only had a couple hours to rush home and talk to my family, but Rowan and Lynn hadn't been there. Another 10 days later, and we're finally getting back to the city for a more reasonable amount of time. I'm exhausted, albeit more emotionally than physically. A fresh supply of souls has kept me up and moving where I otherwise might not be. Fed up with holding back and suspected of heresy by the Templars anyway, I told my team about my second talent, the death touch, which has since evolved into a death aura. Walking into small groups of monsters, I can just send tentacles into them if they're close enough, soul-ripping them all at once. My tendril range is only about 3 feet so far, but they're slowly growing longer as I eat more and more. The ability makes many otherwise dangerous pack-hunting creatures trivial, and since we weren't going very deep into the forest, those kinds of creatures tended to reign supreme. With my recent hatching and impressively robust diet, the whole trip turned out to be quite the buffet. If not for how badly I've been itching to go home the whole time, it would have been kind of nice. I mean, we did our part, Orville, but you're not entirely wrong, Nora says. Seriously, Vita, what kind of magic push-ups have you been doing, girl? I have never seen a talent as crazy as that. I shrug. I'm sure there are hunters and Templars with stronger stuff. There are, Penelope confirms. We did just go on a trip with Gladra the Annihilator, after all. The other High Templars are comparable to her. What's she like, anyway? Orville asks, perking up a bit. Gladra is a legend. The strongest talentless mage. Well, I guess I can see why he'd be fond of her, but... She's awful, I answer flatly. She pretty much spent the trip harassing me for fun, and she almost choked me to death once. Yes, she's clever, but I got the distinct impression that she's mentally unstable, Penelope answers. She kept deferring to a Templar squad leader that she should have technically outranked. Perhaps the clergy are aware and assigned her a handler. Oh, Orville grumbles, his mood dropping even lower than before. Figures. Apparently she got super strong by channeling mana constantly, even when she isn't casting a spell, I comment. Yes, case in point, Penelope answers blandly. I shudder a little. Watcher's eyes. I get why that's such a common swear, now. I roll my own eye around in my body, for no other reason than to enjoy the idle movement. We had a successful mission, all in all. While it's impossible to know if we've cleared the forest of Nora entirely, we did find and subsequently kill a significant number of them, which will doubtlessly please the people in charge. While I ate the feral ones we just caught, every Nora from Lisha Bar Ramuslim is still stored safely inside my body, plus the human soul of Theodora. Penelope was firm on the point that I should keep her soul safe. Apparently she still has things she wants to ask the woman. Since she now gets to ask them without worrying whether or not Theodora will be inclined to answer, I get the impression that she's not super torn up about Theodora's death. Whatever, I'm not either. I just care that I caused it. People die, but I don't like being the one to kill them if they don't deserve it. I'm still furious at myself about it. Hopefully she won't mind being a revenant too much. Not that she'll have a choice, I guess. Soon enough we're back at the gate, where a biomancer is now stationed to scan every single person to enter. It would probably be a pain if there were any significant number of people trying to enter the city, but travel tends to be limited and they have more biomancers on duty when farmers are lining up to import their wares. Penelope seems mildly offended to be subjected to the scan, as she's apparently modified her body to be permanently inhospitable to Nora. Or so she claims, anyway. Is it alright if I break off here? I ask my team. I need to go home. Ah, you're such a good daughter, Vita. Nora coos. I wouldn't mind helping you carry stuff, if you want, Orville offers. I have nowhere to be. I need to resume your family's treatments, Penelope comments idly. It's unfortunate we've been away so much. Well, I mean, if we're making a thing about it, I do kinda want to meet your family, Nora says awkwardly, scratching her cheek. Oh. Ooh, can I come? Bentley begs. I look up at everyone, a slightly annoyed expression on my face. I've been looking forward to some time to myself and my de facto parents or older siblings or whatever Lynn and Rowan are to me. Family, somehow, or at least the closest to family that I can understand. Still, though, I'm not one to waste opportunities. You can only come if you help buy food, I tell them. I'm giving your family free magical health care, Penelope reminds me, smiling wryly. You're also the richest person here by several orders of magnitude, I answer, merciless. Pay up. Everyone agrees, to my surprise, but apparently I shouldn't be that shocked. Normal people buy food for each other all the time, I'm told. Sounds like a wacky practice to me, but I'm happy to take advantage of it. My team even buys food around the gate, which is all massively overpriced but admittedly very tasty. Not that the kids will care, food is food. I buy from a more reasonable stall deeper into my part of the city. As we get to poorer and poorer districts, Bentley starts giving away more and more of the food he bought, to my increasing irritation. I'm not opposed to charity in general. It's how I survived a significant portion of my life, after all. That food is supposed to be for my family, though. Yet the poor guy looks so horrified at the state of the bad part of town, I leave him be. Then some moronic kid tries to steal something from Bentley's pockets, though, and I just about lose it. Nobody comes back anyway, the tangle-haired brat hisses through missing teeth. She can't be more than 8 years old, being a head shorter than even me. The girl's blonde hair is closer to brown from all the dirt in it, and she glares up at me with the kind of piercing, cynical eyes I know all too well. I snatch the stolen money from her hand, glaring right back at her. I come back, I snap. And if you don't learn to pick your targets better, you'll be lucky if the next heavily armed hunter team you steal from stops after breaking your fingers. Scowling, she pulls her hand away, rubbing her wrist. Bentley gives her some food anyway, and she runs off. Don't you think that was a little harsh, Vida? Nora asks, her voice a mix of shock and concern. I've seen people die stealing from the wrong person. I was almost one of them. I hope that was harsh enough. You could maybe encourage her to not be a thief. Orville posits. And do what instead? I ask, exasperated. You wanna adopt her, Orville? Come on, let's go. If we try to help everyone in the city we'll die of old age. I stomp off, feeling a lot more angry than I know I should be. The others follow in silence, letting me stew. It's obvious that I've been a bundle of stress and nerves since Lisha, but I haven't told the others why. Maybe Penelope has, but even if she did or if I told them myself, I'd still have to leave out the most important part. The part one can't get over. The part where Penta is dead because of me. It isn't long before the shack comes into view, and while a few people likely informants for the Drakens peek at us as we pass through the alleyways, we aren't accosted further in any way worth mentioning. The slab of wood that passes for our door is shut, the kids perhaps wisely deciding to act as though no one is home as 5 heavily armed and armored people approach them. Soon, though. Vida. A tide of children rushes out of the shack, forcing me to drop to my knees or risk getting bowled over. The youngest ones hit first, swarming me with hugs. Holy shit, but they look so much healthier. It's obvious that they've made good use of the money I left them. They still look starved, honestly. Cheeks hollow, bodies frail, it's much the same sight I'm used to seeing, but because I'm so used to it, the improvements are striking to me. Just a bit more flesh where I'd expect bone, just a smidgen more color where I'd expect ashy skin. It's no question why they're so happy to see me. At this point, I'm a better supplier for them than Lynn is. Considering that the only reason Lynn hasn't stolen them the whole island already is the Drakens, I suspect that damn gang isn't too happy with me. That's a problem that will be heading my way soon enough. Not yet, though. Not right now. Right now, I have something more important on my mind. Vida, Lynn says, exiting the shack after the wave of kids. Hey Mom, I answer, grinning up at her. She blushes lightly, turning away and giving me a sideways look. And now you quit that, Vida. Is this your whole hunter team? Yup, I answer, nodding. You know Orville and Penelope already. That's Bentley, and that's Nora. Bentley waves, already having made fast friends with one of the kids thanks to gifts of food and a heaping helping of his hearty Bentley-ness. Nora nods at Lynn, still taking in the scene. It's funny to me how out of sorts people look around my home. It must be like how I feel around the richer districts. A pleasure to meet you, ma'am, Nora says politely, nodding. Lynn dramatically grunts a pained noise, twitching like she's been struck. No ma'am stuff. Please. I'm only 23. Nora says, looking around at the 12 children. They're adopted. Lynn insists, then realizes her mistake. No wait, shit. I mean I'm not their mom. I just take care of them. I can't help but laugh. The food that had been in my arms is long gone now, exposing the real reason so many of my siblings, and I guess that's really what they had been in such a rush to hug me. I give firm instructions to my team to not let the kids eat too much so they can spread the meals over a few days. Then I break off, approaching the shack and my mom. "It's great to see you again," she says with a smile, pulling me in for a hug. "You been doing okay?" I swallow, feeling tears form unbidden and doing my best to hold them in. "I've been better," I whisper. "Is Rowan around?" "No," she answers. "One or both of us is pretty much always with the Drakens, even at night. Things have been getting better, thanks to you, but we're being run ragged. I don't think it's spite on their part, though. I think they're just gearing up for something big." I nod, letting her slowly lead me to the hatch downstairs. We jump down and immediately she's holding me again, somehow knowing I've been starved for the contact. Carefully, I reach my tendrils through her belly, lightly wrapping her beautiful, warm soul that glows like the sky. Immediately she jerks, back arching and body shuddering. "Ah," she yelps. Is that you?" I retract immediately, startled by the reaction despite myself. "I suppose Penta acted like that the first time, too." "Why yes. Sorry. Is it weird?" "I'm just, sorry. Sorry." It feels like my own fear of mortality just grew arms and started to hold me, Lynn remarks with a dumbfounded expression. "Kinda nice other than the constant panic-inducing heart attack." "What the heck did you do?" "I hugged your soul," I answer. "With my, tentacles." There's a beat of silence. "With your what?" "My tentacles," I repeat, demonstrating by grabbing and twirling my hair around them. "I have, invisible tentacles coming out of my soul. I grew them when I hatched from my egg," I explain. "My, soul egg, I guess." The Mist Watcher looked at me and broke my shell. "I have a soul eye too. It's neat." There's another long pause, and eventually Lynn just pulls me back in for another hug. I hug her back, just using my arms this time, and squeeze her as hard as I can. "Oh, honey," she says softly, holding me close. "Is this what has you so out of sorts?" I swallow. "No. The soul stuff is fine." "What is it, then?" she presses softly. "What happened?" The tears start to come back. I give up on holding them in this time, with just Lynn and I here. I have plenty of clean water now, so it's not a waste. Here, alone together, it's okay. "Penta's dead," I answer, my breath starting to come out in gasps. "Penelope had to kill her because I did something stupid. I don't know what to do. I have my friend's soul, Lynn. But you saw Greg. You remember him? He was different. I don't know if Penta would be different. And if she will be, I don't know if I want her to be." I break into sobs, squeezing my mom tight. The fact that she's dead, the fact that I'm the one who got her killed, those things hurt me. I hate them, regret them, and wish they weren't true. Yet what has really been ripping me apart inside is that I can bring her back. I can bring her back any time I want, but it just doesn't feel right to do it. I know it would be wrong, I sob. She'll be different if I bring her back. I don't want her to be like Greg. But it's either that or I don't get her for a long, long time. Or maybe even at all. Lynn is silent for a while, holding me close and letting me cry into her chest. "I can't even imagine what that's like," she answers eventually, her eyes distant. "To be able to bring someone back from the dead, but to bind and change them like you do. It's a heavy power, Vita. Strong, useful, and frightening. There are ways I've wanted you to use it for us, you know." I turn my face up, puffy eyes staring at her. "Like what?" "It doesn't matter," she dismisses softly. "You're doing more than enough as it is. I would much rather you be safe than give us a single thing more. But what was it you said about maybe getting your friend back after a long time?" I sniff up some snot, trying not to get any more of it on Lynn's clothes. It was just a thought Penta and I had before she died, I say. My talent makes people weird and creepy, but if I learn real animancy I could maybe change it so it brings them back normal. Even if still dead. And we thought maybe it might be possible to make a living person, if I was really good. Lynn's eyes go wide as she chews on that thought. Well. Your friend's soul isn't going anywhere in the meantime, right? You're keeping her safe. I nod. I think so. Well then don't think of her as dead at all, Lynn answers. You're just a part for now. It happens. Sometimes we don't get to see people we love for a long, long time, but that doesn't mean we care about them any less. If there's a way, Vita, you can work to find it. Your instincts are right, it's okay to wait. Listen to your gut on it, kiddo. That, I don't know about. If I'd listened to my gut she'd have been eaten long ago. Still I feel a lot better just being here, talking with her about it. Thanks, Lynn, I choke out. Can I hug your soul again? Lynn tenses a little, then sighs the kind of exasperated sigh reserved exclusively for mothers. Yeah, Vita, she answers. Gimme a good soul snuggle. I gratefully oblige, making sure not to squeeze too hard. I can't let my hunger get the best of me. Lynn and I exit the lower room to find my team getting along with the kids. Bentley and Nora race each other while giving piggyback rides. Orville patiently allows two of the girls to braid his white hair, which he's been growing out recently. Penelope is doing her healing work, stoically treating one of the little ones while delightful chaos unfolds around her. One of said little ones immediately struts up to me and kicks me hard in the shin. Before I'm even done talking, though, she buries her head in my belly, arms squeezing tightly around my waist. Gone too long, she mumbles. I snort out a sigh, annoyance leaving as I hug her back. Well, I can't say I disagree, I answer. It's good to be back. You eat enough while I was gone. She nods. Orville got us lots of food before he left too, she answers. Did he? I raise an eyebrow his way, but he just shrugs. Well damn, I owe him now. I pick the little one up and go rushing after Bentley and Nora. With her on my shoulders, we're almost as tall as them. Tendrils pulsing in and around my legs, it's time to see if I can actually beat our two martial experts with this new power. My little sister whoops and cheers as I run after my team, although to my annoyance they both slow down and simply let me catch up. Uh-oh, Nora coos, tickling her passenger's feet. Looks like we have a new racer. She'd picked up the youngest one of the kids, or at least who I assume to be the youngest since he's so small. I've never really asked. He giggles and cheers, though, which puts a smile on my face. So then, we have a new team. Bentley announces. Vita and. I glance up at the kid on my shoulders. What was her name, again? Angelica? I hedge. Angelian, she corrects angrily, drumming my head in protest. I'm Angelian. Yeah, that. Vita and Angelian, reporting, I say, saluting blandly. Nora and Bentley both give me a weird look. What? I demand. This is your family, right? Nora questions. Like, you lived here? Yeah, I guess so, I answer hesitantly. Vita never talks to anybody. Angelian complains. She never listens either. I scowl, not really refuting it. Nora and Bentley share a concerned glance, but to my relief we just return to the races. The two of them chat with the kids as we run, their overly excited voices laced with a condescending tone that the kids lap up. I guess when you're actually a kid, it doesn't hurt to be treated like one. I manage to win a few races, but that happens less and less as I tire until eventually I can't even come close to them. Nora's endurance far outstrips mine, and as far as I can tell Bentley never gets tired. His soul feels weird. Like there must be more to his talent that I don't understand. It's not really my mystery to solve, though, and I wouldn't know how to go about trying anyway. Vita, Penelope interrupts tiredly, approaching us with a sweat-drenched face. Your turn now. Oh, all right, I answer, removing the current child from my shoulders. Jared, I think. Maybe Yari. One of those two. Thanks again for doing this, Penelope. Of course, she breathes. It's good practice for me anyway. Now come on, I need you to lie down. I do as instructed, trying to shift so that lying on my belly won't be horribly uncomfortable. Penelope sighs, and from the way her soul sings a clockwork beat I can feel she's measuring her response carefully. You're still mad about Lisha, aren't you? The biomancer eventually asks. Yeah, I confirm. I know you were doing it to save me, but I still can't forgive you for it. Maybe that's dumb, but it's how it is. What exactly did you do to the two slimes that possessed you against your will, again? Penelope responds coldly. If anyone had a right to kill that creature, it was me. You know that. Besides, it was going to be found one way or another anyway. How would you even get back into Skyhope? I nod a little, scowling. I feel a little better after talking with Lynn about it, but I can't help but be frustrated. Well again, thanks for treating everyone. Emicham, she murmurs. Speaking of treating, I need to treat you to another spa day today. We're introducing you to First Lord Erebus and you have to look your best. I raise an eyebrow. That's your fiancé, right? The guy that basically owns me, now. More or less, yes, she answers. We've caused a lot of trouble for the house, so I'll need to reassure him that you're worth it. Which means you need to make a good impression. Well, as you well know, I have a long history of making great impressions on nobles, I answer blandly. Ha. Yes, well, that is why I will be helping you prepare this time. I nod again, settling into the long treatment. It isn't particularly comfortable getting biomancy shoved into my body, but at this point I'm used to it. Penelope was doing it the entire trip to Lisha and back, after all. There's not much else I want to say to her that's safe to say in public, so I don't. I while away the time practicing cancel commands, wishing someone in my head could correct my mistakes for me. Eventually, Penelope finishes. I get up off my increasingly sore chest to stretch, rejoining my team and ignoring the protests of the kids wanting them all to stay. I'm happy to let my team stick around if they want, and Orville apparently made the journey here a number of times alone without getting mugged, so they should be fine without me. Yet with my mom hugged, the treatments done, and the food given, I have nothing else I need to do here. The others seem to want to follow me, and that's fine too. The five of us head out, and as soon as we're alone, Nora turns my way. You're gonna have to be more specific, I tell her blandly. I can't believe the people here look that sick, Bentley whispers. I can't believe you don't know your goddamn family's names. Nora exclaims. Lynn and Rowan are my family, I counter. The kids are I dunno, they're family now. But for the past year they were just bits of bread not going to my mouth, okay? Lynn and Rowan were my friends and kind of my family, but the kids weren't. They were Lynn and Rowan's, not mine. Nora gives me a searching look, her face pensive. Even if you didn't love them, you don't think it's weird that you don't know their names? It's not like I ever had to get their attention. They knew better than to steal from me, so we left each other alone. But you care about them, Bentley insists. If you care about someone, you should at least know their name. I'm new to the luxury of caring about them, okay? I grumble. Sorry. I guess I'm just not that empathetic. If you weren't empathetic, you wouldn't be helping them at all, Orville points out. I shrug, not arguing the point. I still don't know what Penta really meant by that. She never pushed it a second time. Well, as shitty as a sister as I may be, thanks for coming everybody. They seemed happy. Yeah, no problem, Vita. It was fun. Nora gives me a reassuring smile, though whether it's reassuring me or herself, I don't know. Kinda reminded me of home. You mean the one you have now or the one where everybody died? I ask. Orville, Bentley, and Nora all wince at the same time. I look around in confusion. Did I miss something? The one where everybody died, Vida, Nora manages to get out. Oh, okay. I pause. There's probably something else I should say, right? You can show me your current home sometime if you want. You know, since you've seen mine. Sure, it's a date, Nora answers. I wrinkle my nose. I didn't mean it like that. Everyone else bursts into laughter. Even Penelope. Hey. What's so funny? And nothing, never mind, Nora chokes out between laughs. It's just an expression, Vida. I wasn't asking you out. Like, you know, regardless of your actual age you look way too young. I don't want to date anyone anyway, so that's fine by me, I grumble. Really? Nobody? Nora presses. Is there nobody you find attractive? I didn't say I don't find people attractive, I said I don't want to date anyone. It's annoying. Heck, the last guy I thought was hot almost cut my head off. I have to admit, Templar Dassel's face was quite professionally done, Penelope agrees. Into men, huh? Nora grins impishly. How do? Bentley and Orville stack up. Hey! Orville protests. Bentley's hotter than Orville, I answer immediately. They're both pretty middle of the road, though. Hey! More laughter erupts, mostly from Penelope and Nora. I smile a little, not totally getting it but glad people seem so amused. As weird as they are, they're my team and since they're mine, they matter. Well, as fun as this is, Penelope starts, her chuckles fading away, Vida and I need to go take care of a few things. Ooh, you two off to do secret stuff without us? Nora taunts. Yeah, pretty much, I answer bluntly. It's nothing too fancy, Penelope insists. I just owe her for getting that damn slime out of my head. Wait, I thought you said I owe you for ow. Penelope kicks me in the shin, which hurts like heck. I hop on one foot as I rub on the spot to ease my pain. I don't know why I bother trying to be subtle around you, she grumbles. Now they're going to be curious and bother us incessantly. No, it's fine. We'll leave you alone. Orville backpedals. Right, Nora? Yeah, okay, Nora agrees. The inner smugness radiating off of Penelope indicates that's the response she's been fishing for, but outwardly she remains prickly. Please see that you do, she demands. Now then, shall we, Vida? We head out, and at first I wonder why Penelope isn't having us change clothes. Soon I realize, however, that she plans to buy us new ones. My protests fall on deaf ears as people I've never met before touch me all over, grabbing measurements and rushing to fulfill Penelope's orders. I jab a tailor in the sole when she gets too touchy, causing them to let out a yelp of surprise and jump backwards, which in turn makes Penelope chastise their professionalism. Goodness, Lady Vesuvius, the woman behind the counter gasps when we finally make it to the bathhouse. Your friend looks like she got into quite the mess again. Yes, hanging around outside the walls will do that to a woman. Dreadful place. I'd like a private room this time, if you would. There should be an outfit order in my name coming as well, so please have that ready for us when it arrives. Of course, Lady Vesuvius, the receptionist answers, bowing her head. That's how you should be acting, she snaps. Besides, you're hardly one to talk about employing disturbing help. Hey. That's unfair. Life's not fair. Now come on. Soon enough we've stripped, rinsed, and gotten into a lusciously warm tub. I let out a sigh of pleasure, my body and soul drooping as the relaxing waters flow over us. I reach tendrils up to comb through my hair, savoring the feeling of pulling my long, ratty nest into a more comfortable arrangement. Penelope raises an eyebrow at the sight, casting some kind of spell before speaking. Well. The kinemancy protections seem solid here, so we should be safe to talk. Therefore, I must ask, what exactly are you doing? Is that kineticism? Don't tell me you've actually become dual-talented. Huh? Oh. No, my soul just has tentacles now. Ah. Could you elaborate, perchance? Boop, I respond, poking her in the soul. The bottom part, of course, since it's so adorably squishy. She doesn't move, but I feel her almost put a plague on me. What was that? Tentacle, I repeat. Didn't I just say that? When the Mistwatcher looked at me, my egg hatched, and now I'm an eyeball with tentacles. It's neat. Now I'm kinda wondering if I'm related to the big guy. What, like a demigod? She asks sarcastically, rubbing her belly over where her soul rests. As amusing as that would be, I somehow doubt it. Still, that is what rose the range on your abilities. You are very strange, Vita. I've never heard of a talent anything like yours. I puff up happily. Yeah, well, I guess I am pretty cool, huh? Penelope snorts. Anyway, you say the Mistwatcher did look at you? I imagine you're sure because it caused your hatching. Obviously, from now on, that did not happen. You were mistaken. Any time you are ever asked that, henceforth, you will say nothing else. To do otherwise will likely result in your death. I nod, slowly. Okay. Geez, I can't believe I'm double illegal now. I guess it doesn't really get any worse though. Don't say that, Penelope groans. It can always get worse. Speaking of, Johann, whom to you is exclusively Lord Erebus, or First Lord Erebus if you wish to really lay it on thick, needs to agree to my decision to make you part of his house. Which means we must convince him that you are worth angering Templars for without revealing to him that you're an animancer. Don't trust your future husband, huh? He may be my fiancé, but I have no intention of having him as my future husband, she answers immediately. I'm not sure if he'd turn you in or decide to use you, and I'm also not sure which would be worse. I mean, I'm sure which would be worse. Penelope snorts. I flick some water at her, which she ignores. In any case, we're going to claim that you're a natural metamancer, and that I need your assistance to continue my immortality research. Wait, you're doing immortality research? Of course I am. Never mind that immortality would utterly tear apart our entire system of government, it's more or less what I'm forced to research by every noble that has the ability to sway me. And, truth be told, cracking it would without question cause me to be declared a true lady myself, so I admit that somewhat factors into my motivations. Well, okay. So all that brain stuff she does is her trying to figure out how to live forever. I don't know how the two things are related, but presumably the biomancer does. So, why am I pretending to be a metamancer? 2 reasons. 1, it's the best way to disguise your death touch. When you kill something with it, the cause of death appears to be mana backlash, of all things. It's the kind of death you'd see from a mage that bit off more than they could chew and failed to cancel their spell in time. There are metamancy spells with similar effects, though none as effective as yours that I know of. And the second reason? I ask, poking at my belly with my soul to watch the skin seem to move of its own accord. Because you are a metamancer, for all intents and purposes. A rather genius one. The woman leans close to me, a manic grin swallowing her face. You have Theodora's soul, yes. And I have taken care of her body. We need only a safe place to put her, and that genius is all ours. I nod, a smile of my own twitching at my lips without prompting. 2 Theodoras, actually, I correct softly. The Nora would know everything she knew. You saved that soul too? She asks, leaning back again. Well, all the better. It won't be hard to hide 2 revenants when we've hidden the first. Funnily enough, Theodora taught me how. I'll prepare the basics and she can finish them herself. Are you bringing back Penta as well? I think no, I answer, frowning. She's my friend. I would feel bad controlling her. Penelope rolls her eyes. Isn't that an irony? Well, suit yourself. If things go as planned, we'll both be getting all the power and knowledge we can spare. I can't help but laugh at that, using my tentacles to massage my sore legs. And about how likely do you think it is that things will go to plan? Penelope shrugs. Well. Isn't that the question? They do say no plan survives contact with the enemy, so we may have to improvise at some point. But beyond that, what do you think? I raise an eyebrow, smirking at her. Wait, do I even get a say in it? Yes, she answers simply. Of course you do. I may have a sword hanging over your neck, but I prefer you cooperate in spite of that, not because of it. You have many things I want, and I believe I have many things you want. This need not be a relationship of debt or spite. I frown, thinking on that. There is one thing I want that's been bothering me, I say. Oh. Do tell. Well, I've mentioned this offhand a few times before, but I'll come out and say it. Your soul sings your true emotions. It's kinda scary how good you are at hiding them, but I can tell when you're faking. Which is pretty annoying, since you're faking almost all the time. Weren't you the one that got on my case about that back when we first met? It's gonna be hard to like you if you keep saying things that aren't what you mean. She's genuinely taken aback for a moment, flashes of surprise and irritation jolting through her melody. Most prominently, though, her soul is afraid. I think it is going to be even harder for you to like me if I do say what I'm really feeling, Vita, she answers slowly. Well, I counter, let's give it a shot anyway, 'cause this ain't working. A long pause stretches between us, her emotions twisting around in a chaotic tune I can barely follow. Dozens of potential answers pass through her mind, all of which she rejects. Which kind of defeats the point, of course, but I can accept that it's likely a hard habit to break. During our biomancy sessions I have been secretly manipulating your body so that you develop into someone more conventionally attractive when you're older, she eventually admits. I blink. What? My throat is parched and raw. I can't sing a single second more, no matter how hard I try. No matter how much biomancy I toss at myself and the surviving members of my team, it doesn't matter if we don't have water. It's been almost 2 days since our capture. The black-toothed monster had happily allowed me to heal my team and prevent them from bleeding out, but it supplied neither food nor drink. A slower, more insidious killer than the web-spinning freak torturing us was going to take hold soon, dehydration. All of us are low on fluids from nearly bleeding out multiple times. I can feel myself passing in and out of consciousness already, it won't be long until our deaths. The bastard prods me, trying to get me to sing. I would if I could, but it's simply not possible. My throat no longer works. As if to provide extra incentive, the damned creature bites into Ivan again. He chokes down a scream, and I know he'll die this time. My voice doesn't work, and I've long since lost both my arms. Magic is beyond me, now. I have to try anyway, but the choking croaks that escape my throat are powerless. The creature looks at me as I try to save my teammate one more time, its expression shifting from gleeful expectation to irritation to finally something almost resembling fear. It doesn't want to lose its playthings, huh? At least Ivan gets to hurt it that way before he dies. The monster hisses at me, leaping over to smack me with its forelimbs as I fail to save my friend and ally. It doesn't understand, does it? For all its cleverness, it really doesn't understand that we have to eat and drink. I barely even register the pain. It's not like the damn thing is eating me. As Ivan starts to die, Fulvia does her best to thrash around, to make one final last-ditch attempt to do something. How she still has the strength I don't know. I suppose she'll probably last longer than the rest of us now, with her stronger body. There's nothing the woman can do, though. Even if she could break the webs, she only has one arm and no legs. We're doomed here. We'll both be joining Ivan soon. A particularly hard blow from the monster strikes me in the head, and I pass out. I wake up to the feeling of something wriggling over my face. The monster has, in a somewhat macabre display of poetic justice, found a small nest weaver and trapped it in threads. It shoves the still struggling creature at my face. I'd laugh if I could. So it figured things out after all, but wants me to eat that? I'm hungry enough to give it a shot, but I can hardly get my teeth around a giant bug and expect to bite through it. I try anyway, desperate for even the barest hope of life, but my teeth can't pierce the spider's flesh. The monster, growling, stabs the nest weaver to hold it still, but what I care about is that it makes the arachnid bleed. Disgusting, beautiful green fluid drips into my throat, and I greedily try to catch every drop. As usual, my team's shared nightmare watches with two intelligent eyes. The moment I've gotten all I can from the spider, a thread shoots out of each of its front limbs, tethering to Fulvia, and Ivan, now clearly dead, is left to rot as we're dragged across the ground to unknown parts of the forest. Unable to see where we're going, I only hear the occasional spat between our torturer and other monsters. I don't know if I want the little horror to win in order to buy us a little more life, or to lose so we can finally be killed by whatever bested it. We're dragged and dragged until suddenly my heart leaps up my throat, hope filling me. The back of my head touches something cool and wet, soaking my hair. The beast rolls me over, dunking my face in water. I panic for an instant, considering the irony of drowning while I die of dehydration. I lack the strength to lift my head, after all. Another shot of webbing, though, and my head is forcibly pulled out of the lake's edge, giving me some much-needed air. The small monster stands above and between Fulvia and I, looking almost like a carriage driver holding our reins. I choke a laugh at the comparison shortly before my head is dropped back in the water. I drink, fighting with my self-control to not swallow too much at once. A few more rounds of this and we're dragged back away from the water and rolled onto our backs once more. The monster leaves, returning with corpses. More nest weavers, their missing legs indicating they were once fellow victims. It tries to get us to eat those. I do. Who cares if I get an infection from the meat? What's a possible death in the face of a certain one? Besides, at least it's not Ivan's body. Days pass, the monster learning to feed and water us like the cattle we are. My voice recovers soon, but I do everything I can to not let the beast know. The phantom pains in my missing limbs will only get worse when the monster adds my last leg to their number. I sing when it's gone hunting, trying desperately to push our bodies back into a usable form before the monster catches on, but the damn thing is too clever by half. It finds the stubs of growth coming from our shoulders, greedily gnawing them off before going directly for our last remaining limbs. I sing as loud as I can, trying desperately to drown out the sound of Fulvia's bones being shattered between those horrible jaws. Claretta. Fulvia begs. Claretta, stop. Please. Stop. No. I can't do that. We have to keep hope. We have to try to escape, try to survive to be rescued. Claretta. Ack. Her words are cut off as the monster takes another bite. I'm looking up at the sky, unable to face my friend while it happens. I just sing. Sing, sing, sing. It's what I'm good at, what I love. Just let the watcher take me, Claretta, my last teammate screams. I am figuring out a spell for the pain. I insist, halting my spell just long enough to say so. We won't feel it forever, and... Shut up. Shut up and let me die. Squeezing my eyes shut, tears wetting my face, I ignore her pleas, resuming my song and forcing her body to stay functional. She rages and curses at me, but I only have ears for the song. Many more days pass. I don't know how many. A dozen, at least. I'm now convinced the monster never sleeps. Not just as a paranoia-induced nightmare, although I certainly have no end of those, but it literally never sleeps. It rests, sometimes, sitting motionless and staring at something or another. Its pure black eyes never stay closed for long, though, always watching. When it's not busy engorging itself on our flesh, I often watch back. The dark creature is growing. Visibly so, even over the spattering of weeks I've known it. When standing on its hind limbs before, I doubt it could have made it to my waist when we first met. Now it would probably reach my belly button. Its spider-like limbs are thickening, changing slowly in length and shape. Most terrifying of all, however, is its head. The bug-like features are shifting, its large, widespread eyes focusing more forward and shrinking in size. Its mouth has lost the vestigial mandibles previously around its face, shifting to imitate the rounder form of the humanoid skull. Bits of chitin slew off the monster's head day by day, revealing a humanoid nose that reminds me very, very much of Ivan's. It notices me staring, grinning widely at me. The teeth of a monster contrast the face of a child. It is uncannily wrong, still only halfway through whatever macabre transformation is taking place, but it grows more and more familiar every day. What is this creature eating when it gnaws at us? Our flesh, or our very humanity? I look away, going back to singing. I'm far too tired for a magical song, having spent my energy at that for hours earlier today. Properly fed and watered, though, I do not need to worry about straining my voice. I can, after all, heal any damage sustained from singing by singing. And singing is all I can do to chase away the constant torment of reality. This is a lark story. Content yet seeking more. The lark flies far for she loves not but to explore. From islands high she sees so far, searching still for something new. But the lark can't fly above the sky. So down and down she flew. Yet while the church encourages prayer, it teaches us to know better than expect those prayers to be answered. This is Alexstora, the dark beast sings along, its screechy, horrible voice menacingly off-key. Content ye siki moo. I stop singing, the monster padding back onto my belly with that horrible, horrible grin on its face. It lies down to make itself comfortable, head resting on my chest as it continues its butchery of music. The lark face Fafasi loves Nabu Tosplor. You're not the one that's supposed to like it, I whisper helplessly. For the first time, the idea of singing disgusts me. This thing has taken even music from me. Spose T-laked, it copies, eyes sparkling with glee. It's learning from us, Claretta, Fulvia moans. You have to let us die. Fulvia, I won't just roll over and give up, I answer, though the words come out as less confident than they should. They'll have dispatched another team by now. We have to. I want to protest, but before I can the beast leaps up. Back arched, it hisses furiously in Fulvia's direction, its teeth bared in threat rather than smile. Don't like me yelling at your favorite pet, she taunts. Come bite my throat out already, you piece of shit. It leaps over to her, biting through her chitin armor and spitting it out before tearing into the side of her ribcage. I start singing as Fulvia screams, stopping the bleeding as quickly as I can while the monster savors and swallows its morsel. Thrashing and roaring at it, Fulvia continues to incite the monster through her pain until it gets fed up, pressing a thick forelimb down on her throat and cutting off her airway. W8. Stop. I beg it, cutting off my song. You're choking her. I don't know if it's because I stopped singing, if it noticed the desperation in my tone, or if it somehow understood, but the monster turns to glare at me for a moment before obeying. Fulvia's body gasps for breath, her instinctive will to live overpowering whatever suicidal madness held her for now. I go back to singing while the monster bites into many of Fulvia's bindings, tearing through webbing and armor alike. It seems to have noticed that our clothes aren't part of our body. Chewing it off, the dark creature detaches and appends Fulvia's breastplate, filling the inside with webbing before curling up within to rest. Fulvia starts to sob, her occasional quiet hiccups contrasting the complex melodies of my healing music. I feel her trying to resist my spell, but she's so weak I push through it without any trouble. I just keep singing. The wound isn't terrible, and to a mix of pride and horror I'm getting quite good at treating monster bites. Only when I'm done ensuring she'll live do I answer. I'm sorry, Fulvia. I don't think you're sound of mind when you say those things. I'm not, she cries. I'm not at all. Don't you feel something missing when it eats you, Claretta? I swear, it's biting more than flesh. Please, just let me keep my dignity before I die. You'll keep your dignity, I promise. You won't die either. Liar. You're worse than it. At least the monster doesn't pretend to be doing me a favor. I flinch, unable to respond. Leaning over from its new bed, the dark creature from Hive Rock takes another bite out of Fulvia's body, swallowing it whole. Once again, I start singing. Conventionally attractive? What does that even mean? What are you doing to me? Vita, this kind of thing is important. A lot of people pay incredible amounts of money for this kind of thing. It's nothing harmful to you. No. Exactly, she snaps. Never mind that I am for free opening countless future doors to you that you'd otherwise be unable to choose. Never mind that the changes are entirely unobtrusive and unharmful. I'm clearing blemishes, smoothing skin, fixing teeth. I'm still hated for it. But you need this, Vita. This is the kind of thing that makes a difference on whether or not important people like you. We're women. People will look past a lot for a pretty face, nobles included. And I'm sure you rely on that, I jab, but of course I'm going to be pissed off when I find out you're messing with my stuff without permission. Well, they say it's better to seek forgiveness than ask for permission anyway, she responds scornfully. I glare at her, standing up in the bath as my tendrils curl dangerously around her body. There's a lot you haven't been forgiven for, yet. What, you mean your slime friend? She asks scornfully, matching my hateful gaze. Please. It was a biomancer too, and it knew how I think. There's no way it wasn't aware. It just chose not to tell you either, because it knew I'm right. That gives me pause. Penta knew, but didn't tell me. Penelope truly believes that, she's being honest. Why wouldn't Penta tell me, though? Penta is a she, not an it, I answer lamely. And that's not an argument, Penelope answers. Is there any particular reason you'd prefer to be ugly? I swallow. I guess not. Then is this matter settled? Penelope impatiently growls. I don't answer, and after a while she snorts. People are so often put out by the doings of those they didn't personally approve. But most people are stupid, Vita. The entire reason the government exists, nobles in particular, is that some of us know better. It is essential to put the right people in charge of the fools, as anarchy leads to nothing but chaos and rot. You know that better than anyone, living where you did. Survival of the fittest does not mean survival of the wisest or best, not by a long shot. Yet the hell I grew up in festers in your city, I counter. The nobles aren't helping. She nods, her eyes hard. When I'm a first lady, Penelope promises, I will. I swallow, sitting back down as my tentacles retract back into my body. She's serious about that, too. For all her flaws, she seems to care about something I can't afford to not help her with. Not when Lynn and Rowan are still stuck there. Penelope, do you think I'm stupid? I ask slowly. She raises an eyebrow at me, shifting to stretch her back. I think you're completely uneducated, but no. If anything, you're remarkably intelligent for someone in your position. I've seen you look over my shoulder to read my work, you know. How did you become literate with your background? What? I dunno, I picked it up somewhere. Maybe someone taught me, I don't remember. But the important thing is that if you don't think I'm stupid, if you don't think I'm the kind of fool that shouldn't ever have power, why are you bothering to hide stuff from me? If you're right, you should be able to convince me of that. You don't need to go behind my back all the time. She snorts. So you agree with me, then? Is that your measure of whether or not I'm being dumb? It is for this, she answers flatly. Unless you have any sort of real objection. I pause, scratching my cheek as I think about it. Well, the only objection I have is not getting consulted about it, I guess. I don't mind looking nice, but I very much mind you messing with my body without telling me what you're doing. I want to know. Fine, Penelope relents. I'll do that. I nod, and that's all there is to it. Sinking deeper into the warm waters, I catch myself once again wondering if my family will ever be able to experience something as nice as this. Probably not, I suppose. I'm rich by my standards, but certainly not by the standards of the people that live in the inner city. Hey, Penelope. I ask after a while. She murmurs in response. The girl is clearly enjoying her soak in the bath as she lounges with her eyes closed. You said you've seen the Mistwatcher, right? I ask. When you went to those edge cities with your grandpa. What did you think of it? Penelope opens her eyes, shifting uncomfortably in her seat. Well, it is the single most terrifying and incredible demonstration of biological mastery I have ever witnessed, she responds eventually. It seems impossible, you know. Something that large, how can it even move? How does it not get crushed by its own weight? It looks alive. If it truly is, it is a creature of perfection beyond human understanding. Yeah, I breathe. It's beautiful, isn't it? Though if you could see its soul. Her eyebrows raise. It is beautiful. Impossibly so. I worry that may be a magical effect. Some kind of cognomancy, drawing people to adore it. The church would deny it, of course, but we both know how reliable that is. Besides, even if it is magical, I can't get the image out of my head. What's this about its soul? The Mistwatcher takes the souls of the dead, I confirm. Using tentacles like mine, but ones that reach all over the world. I think it just eats them. Like I do. Its soul form looks like its physical form, but with mouths instead of eyes. Penelope's eyes widen. That's disturbing. All the more reason to become immortal, I suppose. I chuckle at that. Well, our clothes are likely here by now, Penelope says suddenly, standing up and letting the water drip off her body. Holy shit, I'm just so much thinner than her. Not that she's rotund or anything, but none of her bones are showing. Her whole figure is just very soft. Like a series of expensive pillows shoved into a human shape. I follow her out, drying off and wrapping up in towels as we head to another room. Inside, sure enough, are a bunch of brand new outfits hung up beautifully. Or at least, I assume they're hung up beautifully. I have exactly zero knowledge or interest in fashion and clothing, being someone that goes everywhere in a scratchy cloak that's pretty much as big as I am. What the heck? I ask, holding up some underwear. Why is this bra so huge? Am I supposed to wear this? It's padded, Penelope answers. To make your chest look bigger. I scrunch my eyebrows together. Just put it on, Penelope snaps. You should wear a bra anyway, it will help with the sensitivity. The padding on that one is for show, but every little bit is going to help here. Don't I look like a child? You do, which is bad for our purposes, Penelope answers. Drawing attention away from that so you seem more mature will help sell the notion that you're going to reliably assist with the research I'll be ostensibly employing you for. She pauses for a moment. Also, I suspect Lord Erebus will rather like it, which will be more points in your favor. It's best not to play a game of cards until you've finished stacking the deck, as it were. Getting used to the stairs while you still look too young for them to linger will be good practice. Later I'll teach you how to properly reject the advances of a noble, but that's a lesson for another day. For now, just do not separate from me. If someone tries anything with you, ignore them and let me handle it. I chew on those words for a while, my skin crawling at all the implications she just smoothly passed over. She gives me an honest, sympathetic look, a bit of genuine regret passing through her. Nor should you be, she answers. This isn't right, and it isn't fair. Frankly, it's outright disgusting, but it gets results, so I'm going to insist you do it anyway. The rest of my outfit is equally confusing, though it's at least simple. A long-sleeved black dress that exposes way too much of my legs for comfort and some matching shoes are more or less all there is to put on, Penelope insisting that there's no better color for me than black. It's nice enough, although some dangly bits on the end of the sleeves that seem to have no purpose annoy me immediately. That thing looks like it's about to fall off, I comment. That's the idea, Penelope counters with a smile. But it won't. The tailor would be ruined for generations if a faux pas like that occurred. How does it stay up, though? I press. Is it like suction, or? Vita, you just worry about your own dress. Make sure to sit with your legs crossed, if you're invited to sit. The last thing you want to do is flash your underwear at Lord Erebus. If you're worried about that, then put me in pants next time. I snap, smoothing out the dress in an effort to try and make it cover lower. Oh, quit fiddling. It's a knee cut. You're fine. I'm sure you've worn something that showed more leg. Well yeah, but only 'cause it rotted and fell apart. It's different when it's on purpose. You are the whiniest abomination I have ever met, Penelope groans. I'm the only abomination you've ever met. Penelope snorts derisively, walking out of the changing room. Reluctantly, I follow, stopping only at the reflecting pool. Penelope says nothing, politely waiting in silence as I stare at myself for a long time. My face still looks foreign and wrong, something about it not sitting well with me. Yet, it's mine. It obviously is, since I'm the one controlling it. I start poking at it with my tentacles, watching the face squish and stretch to my will. It's just so strange. Eventually, we depart. Penelope pays the staff and I nervously follow alongside her as we descend deeper into the rich district, the houses evolving into ever more extravagant manners. Approaching one, the armed gate guards bow politely to Penelope, opening the way for her without a word. She struts in like she owns the place, flashing me a confident smile. Vita, Penelope hisses under her breath. Quit making that face. You look like you're going to kill somebody. Think of it like Lisha, Penelope says softly. How you're perceived could be the difference between life and death. Right. Yeah, this is just another mission. It may be less immediately deadly, but it's no less important to my survival. Down the rich and expansive hallways we go, until we're eventually shown to a rich and expansive waiting room. At least the master of the house doesn't keep us waiting for long. Lord Erebus will see you now, the servant announces, bowing as she opens the door for us. The man himself is sitting behind a fancily carved wooden desk, his lean, hawkish face smiling pleasantly. Tall and thin, his brownish-red hair and blue eyes contrast pale and unblemished skin, leaving an oddly foreign impression I can't quite place. More interesting than all of that is his soul, however, a dark brown orb in which twists of purple roil like fire in slow motion. From the size of it he's clearly no powerful fighter, though considering the gleam of metal on his fingers I suspect there might be a few very nasty tricks he could pull if someone tried to attack him. Penelope, Lord Erebus greets warmly, welcome home. I must admit I was startled to hear that you joined the Hunters Guild. I'm overjoyed to see you back safely. His eyes travel up and down her dress, drinking in his supposed future wife's beauty. I get a similar treatment, though thankfully his gaze spends most of its time on Penelope. Maybe that's part of why she chose to put on such a saucy outfit. It would certainly have been nice of her if so. As you can see, I'm no worse for wear, she responds, smiling right back at him. Just a little annoyed that the Templars seem to have ruined my surprise for you. I didn't want to tell you until I got something to show for the risk, but alas. I was ever so slightly too late. The risk? My dear, over a third of hunters die in the first year of employment. Over half die in the first 5 years. You think I'm the lower half, darling? Penelope protests smoothly. I'm hurt. He sighs, looking away. We'll have this conversation later. For now, let's talk about this other problem you've dropped on me. Though I admit Vita, is it? Yes, Lord Erebus, I answer. I was ready for that one. I've read up on you, and heard quite a few things from quite a few people. Firstly, however, I would like to thank you. I hear you are responsible for halting the first Nora incursion in 50 years, and directly freeing my betrothed. That alone would normally be enough to want you working under me, but I have here some disturbing reports about the church charging you with multiple high crimes and 2 investigative demands. You understand, I'm sure, that this puts me in a difficult position. I nod, not quite sure what to say. The First Lord steeples his fingers, leaning his elbows on his desk. Are they true? He asks. I didn't cause the perception event, I lie firmly. I don't even know how I could have possibly done that. I don't know what the other thing I'm apparently being accused of is, though. He nods slowly, piercing blue eyes locked on mine. I see. Does the name Ars mean anything to you? I blink. Ars? Had I heard that name before? No, I'm sure I haven't. I shake my head. No, Lord Erebus. He nods again. That's all I need from you, then. My fiancé and I will speak on this alone. You may go. I shrug. That works for me. Turning around, I walk out without another word. I can feel Penelope wince at the action without even looking at her, the sound of her soul screeching briefly off-key. What, was I supposed to say something? She never taught me that. He told me to do something, so I'm doing it. Letting myself out, I sit down in the waiting room, making sure to keep my legs crossed like Penelope told me to and, well, wait. They talk for a good while before Lord Erebus eventually gets up to pull Penelope close for a while. Then, she exits, a triumphant smile on her face. I'm good, then. I ask. You're good, she confirms. Things went rather well. Surprisingly so. Neat. Now what? Now, she purrs, anticipation filling her features. Now we go stretch your talents, Vita. It's time to push them as far as they'll go. My tendrils curl gleefully, a grin of my own growing to match hers. I stand up, ready to follow her. I can barely wait. Shouldn't we have changed for this? I ask grumpily, descending down the stairs after Penelope. She glances up at me, her grin gleaming in the dim light. Vita, please. How could you even think of doing forbidden blasphemies in anything but a black dress? There. Done, she eventually announces, dusting off her hands against each other. At least, done to the degree I can do. We'll have them shored up in a moment, though, because. Walking off into another room for a moment, she returns with some kind of wheeled table on which Theodora's body rests, intricate tattoos covering almost every part of her skin. I do mean almost every part, too, and given my knowledge of that I'm forced to wonder. Why is she naked? Penelope asks, raising an eyebrow. Oh. She's a corpse, Vita. We had to drain the blood, stitch up that neck wound, apply the spells to keep her from rotting, so on and so forth. Much easier without pointless fabric in the way. Does biomancy work on dead bodies? I ask. Well, not really, no. Most biomancers, myself obviously included, know a few precision-focused kineticism spells, however. Sometimes you just need to grab something in a body and move it around a little. Setting bones, removing arrowheads, etc. And biomancy can be used to delay decomposition, since that's a biological process, mostly. She paces around the wheel table, still grinning as she lectures me. What if the corpses walk around? I ask blandly. Well, they'll probably figure it out, at that point, Penelope responds, her voice equally flat. Right. Well, since Theodora is about to walk around, do you think she might want a robe or something? Penelope opens her mouth, closes it, and then opens it again. Well. Yes, I suppose I hadn't thought of that. I'll go see what I can find. I pull Theodora's soul out while she's off finding some cloth for our soon-to-be ally. A glittering, vibrant blue contrasts with lighting-shaped arcs of red dancing around it. It's a striking soul that is among the largest and the most beautiful in my collection. I can't deny I have a strong temptation to just eat it, but I'm equally curious about controlling it. I wait for a moment, half expecting something to seize control of my mouth and berate me for that thought. It never comes, of course. What would Penta say, though? What would Rowan say? That it's wrong. She's a person, so I shouldn't do it. She's not a person I know, though. She's not my friend or my family. Perhaps more importantly, I need her. If she's as talented as Penelope seems to think, she'll probably be invaluable in figuring out my powers and how to refine them. Ironically, by forcing her to be dedicated to me, we have the best chance to figure out how to undo that dedication. Penelope is no metamancer and certainly no animancer. It might mess Theodora up for now, but the good it could do later. Removing a shard from my soul, I push it into the orb that holds Theodora. With my senses far better than when I last did this, I can see my shard wedging itself inside, shifting and extruding root-like structures in and around the soul. Slowly but surely, my shard melts away until it is nothing but those twisting tendrils, fusing with the spirit and leaving it subtly changed. The process makes the striking soul even more beautiful, to my delight. Penelope returns shortly after with a blanket and a smock, laying the former overtop the body and setting the latter nearby. Okay, got that taken care of, she announces. Now, I want to watch you do your soul trick. I already made the revenant soul, if that's what you mean, I answer, raising my eyebrow as she scowls a little at me. You can watch the next one. I'm going to put this in her body now, okay? Fine, fine. Make the magic happen, Vita. I shrug, pushing the new and improved soul into Theodora's corpse. The body twitches briefly as the soul spreads within it until suddenly my revenant's eyes shoot open, Theodora sucking in a very unnecessary breath. Instantly her hand goes to her throat, eyes looking around wildly as she slowly sits up. What happened, she breathes. Where? Her eyes lock onto me and go wide. I wave at her. Hi. Vita. I thought you know. I'm your. Are you quite all right, Theodora? Penelope asks. Approaching with a calm smile. How do you feel? Numb, Theodora answers, rapidly glancing at and away from me. Did you save me? In a manner of speaking, Penelope answers smoothly. What do you remember? Well, there were the slimes. And I was trapped. And then. She points a shaky hand at me. You killed me. And now I love you. No, why would I? I'm not thinking right. This is animancy, isn't it? Horror and joy wore on Theodora's pale, bloodless face. Penelope glances my way. It's the only way we had to save your life, I say. Sorry it's not perfect. Oh, of course, Theodora sighs, visibly relaxing at my words. That makes sense, know. Wait. She almost immediately tenses up again, mana flowing into her soul as her fingers start to move in fast spell patterns. It's not sensible at all, she shouts furiously. I'll not. Calm down, I order, and she sags like a puppet with strings cut. I recognize a cancel command, channeled mana exiting her as the anger instantly leaves her. A tingle goes down my spine, smile twitching at my lips. Sorry, Vita, Theodora whispers. I'm not sure what came over me there. I mean, I know what I can tell you're. She groans in frustration, clutching at her own head. How about you get dressed for now, and we'll explain stuff. I hedge. Immediately, she moves to put the smock on as instructed. I hadn't expected her to be this lucid. Grigg never cared that he was being mind-controlled. It's definitely weirder this way. Is she going to be alright? Penelope whispers at me, moving slightly behind me to put my body between her and the revenant. How should I know? I whisper back. This is like the third time I've done this. I can hear you, Theodora says. I'm not deaf. Somehow. I'm dead, aren't I? My body's not right. I can't believe you two did this. Are you behind the Nora as well? No. I answer. No, Theodora, this is just I'm a natural necromancer, is all. I'm trying to save you. I just don't understand how it all works. She finishes dressing, standing up from the table. Her bare feet show no obvious discomfort from standing on the cold stone floor, and her piercing eyes stare unblinkingly in my direction. A dubious claim. Show me. I glance over at Penelope. I'll go get another corpse, I suppose, she says, heading out of the room and leaving me with my unwilling servant. Well, this is certainly not how I expected things to go, I comment. Yes, Theodora says slowly. Sorry. Perhaps I am overreacting. Or maybe what you did to me is making me think I'm overreacting. Maybe both, I comment, shrugging. We're not going to hurt you or anything. No, of course not, Theodora murmurs, entirely to herself. You'd never do that. The dead woman grabs her chin between her thumb and forefinger, eyebrows twitching as she tries to navigate her new, slightly foreign mental state. I watch curiously as her soul repeatedly sparks with anger, only to be choked by the twisting remnants of the shard I placed within her. It's simultaneously exciting and disturbing. Here we are. Penelope announces, bringing out two more corpses, an older man and to my grim lack of surprise a young girl that looks like she starved to death. I walk towards it immediately, pulling out Vitamin Soul. Because, really, would anything else fit for the poor memory stealer? Watch, Theodora, I say, and her eyes gravitate to me immediately. I'm not casting, it's just a talent. Plunking the soul in the corpse, I wait for my monstrous slime daughter to rise in her new body. Almost immediately, her eyes shoot open. Mom, she squeals, happily leaping off the table and wrapping me up in a hug. I'm not a rat anymore. Yes. Holy shit, it's like hugging one of Lynn's little ones. Except colder. Hi, Vitamin, I murmur, kneeling down to hug her back. Sorry about the wait. Supposedly we have a safe place here, finally. About that, could you double-check my work on the masking enchantments, Theodora? Penelope asks. I'm fairly certain I got them right, but I'm sure you could do better. Safe? Safe how? How far can I go? Vitamin presses. Just within these few rooms, for now, Penelope answers. And sorry, if I can back us up here for a few moments. Did that revenant just call you Mom? Of course I did. Vitamin answers, grinning in Penelope's direction. She raised me. Get it? I snort, then start to laugh as Penelope and Theodora each send concerned looks my way. Grabbing the little one under the armpits, I raise her up to my shoulders. I already made that joke, I tell her. What? No. That's totally the kind of thing you just think and then keep to yourself because you're awkward. So hey, am I really stuck down here? Wow, ouch. Kids can be mean. For now, yeah, I answer regretfully. Unless you'd rather be in stasis. You're using the masking formula so external detection doesn't see hints of necromancy, Theodora murmurs, looking around. They should be fine. Can you improve them in any way? I ask Theodora. I'm counting on you to keep everything here safe. She halts a bit. All right. Of course. Yes. Well, there are a few weaknesses, actually. Let me just. She gets to work casting on the walls, and I scowl. She's going to be trouble, huh? The Revenant seems to have no issue following direct orders when I give them, but. Don't worry, Mom, Vitamin murmurs, picking up on my concern immediately. I'll keep an eye on her for you. I squeeze her leg in thanks, and she returns it with a hug to the forehead. Nothing like a slime with all my memories to back me up. I have the weirdest family. Theodora, Penelope says smoothly. I understand being less than enthused at the prospect of being an undead revenant, but we are merely hoping to get your assistance with magical research. That is already a passion of yours, is it not? I fled Skyhope so I wouldn't be forced to do anyone else's magical research, Theodora snaps. If this is the nobility's way to depress me into their work, it certainly shows me I was right to leave. I should have fled all the way to Maradin. Though I guess I. She starts mumbling to herself, glancing my way as she struggles to fight the influence of my shard. This situation I don't like it. I mean, I do like it, instinctively, but it's still bad. Firstly because it's dangerous to our plans, but also I feel no better than the slimes I just killed. Theodora, I say, butting in. Like I said before, I'm a natural necromancer. I have no way to revive you without doing what I've done to your mind. I don't know how my power works. I know this isn't fair to you, but you and I together have the best chance of figuring it out. If you help me learn more animancy, I can undo what I've done to you. Ideally, I want to learn to make you a living body again. Will you please help? If you prefer death, I can grant that to you instead. You'll free me from this, she presses. Yes, I confirm. One way or another. After a long pause, she answers. Then I'll join you, Theodora says. I felt the remnant of my shard pulse within her before her answer, but I smile anyway. That's good enough for me, at least for now. We need her. Okay. Great. I'm really sorry that I, got you killed. The slime in Remus technically did it, but well I screwed up and gave him the chance. But hey, on the upside, at least you're immune to Nora now. She snorts, breaking out into a slight chuckle. Yes, that's well, I wouldn't say I like the idea of being a soul slave, but it's better, I'll give you that. How are the others? Safe, alive, and slime-free, I answer. Although Lisha is occupied by Templars, now. Ugh. Well, it's to be expected, even if it's hardly ideal. Thank you for saving the others. I nod. The slimes, however, are dead. But well I'm still a necromancer, so how would you feel about, working with the one that controlled you? In separate bodies, of course. 2 experienced metamancers are better than 1, right? Theodora is quiet for a moment, her dead form not so much as twitching as she stares me down. Vitamin starts playing with my hair. Have you already messed with the slime's soul, she asks. To make her loyal? Not yet, I say. But I'll have to do that, it's part of the process that lets my power make you a revenant at all. I'll happily let you get a good look at it. Your talent is something about analysis, right? It is, yes. I still seem capable of using it as well, even after death. I nod. We should test sometime if you can use it in a different body, I think. For now, though. There's a pause as the woman considers it, her thoughts unknown to me as she contemplates the question behind that stony gaze. Go for it, she eventually murmurs. I nod, pulling out the slime's soul and a shard of my own and mixing the two together. Theodora's eyebrows scrunch together, watching with enraptured attention. When the soul is ready, I plunk it into the old man corpse. It's an almost comical mirror to Theodora as the slime of the same name wakes up, hand on her neck, sharp intake of breath. What happened? The new revenant asks, voice raspy and odd as she sits up slowly. Where? The human Theodora immediately punches her in the face. 13 minutes and 43 seconds, I know, the slime revenant snaps back, her old man's body seemingly no more frail than Theodora's young one. They are, after all, both equally dead. You never shut up about it. I don't know how you got free, but... Theodora breaks through the slime's guard and socks her in the jaw, shutting the former parasite up. The slime tackles her in response, knocking over the table and slamming both of them into the floor. Why can't I swim back into you? Penelope coughs politely, glancing at me. Shouldn't you stop them? I watched the fight for a bit, the savage blows between the two undead breaking bloodless skin. Nah, I say, shaking my head slowly. Theodora kinda earned this. They can sort out their differences. Penelope follows my gaze, nodding back. True enough. It does seem like a cathartic way to greet one's torturer. You're not gonna beat me up, are you, Mom? Vitamin asks impishly. No, silly. I tell her, reaching up to tickle her sides. I already killed you. We're totally even. My dead daughter giggles, though I doubt it's because the corpse she inhabits is actually ticklish. Penelope gives us an odd stare as the vicious brawl continues across the floor next to us. Vita, did you adopt the slime that tried to take over your body? Yep. I answer happily. Well, posthumously. But she's a little kid with all my memories, and she calls me Mom, and you know. It fits, right? She's mine. And you're mine. Vitamin declares, grinning down at me. Goodness, this is only going to end well, Penelope deadpans. What is with you and doting on inhuman horrors? I shrug. My soul has tentacles, Penelope. I'm pretty sure I'm an inhuman horror. I just kinda empathize with that, you know. You're as human as anyone I've ever met, Vita, Penelope insists. I've done very thorough scans. Your body is perfectly normal, you just have a rare talent. Yeah, but my soul is weird. And when you think about it, my soul is more me than my body is, I cut myself off, attention suddenly snapping to the fight. Human Theodora just smacked slime Theodora hard enough to shatter a few of the old man bones in her body. That by itself doesn't seem like it's worth caring too much about, but as the impact hit I felt slime Theodora's soul crack as well, prompting a hoarse scream of pain. Stop, I order, my voice freezing both revenants immediately. Human Theodora stands above her former captor, one foot poised to crash into the slime revenant's ribs again. They both stare at me with the kind of fearful, guilty expression Lynn's little ones make when they're caught hoarding food. Taking Vitamin off my shoulders I walk over, shooing human Theodora out of the way. I kneel down next to the former slime so I can poke at her soul with my tendrils. It's not shattered or broken or anything, just cracked. How do you feel? I ask. It hurts, the revenant whimpers. Vita, what's happening? Why can't I leave this body? Why doesn't it have memories? So she's still lucid, even when damaged. The crack doesn't look very deep, but the question is, why did the soul crack at all? A physical blow shouldn't have affected an intangible thing like a soul, right? You're not a slime anymore, I tell her. You're undead. Now shush, I'm investigating. I carefully pull the soul out of the corpse, the many blood vessel-like growths that are spread across the body detaching bit by bit, staying connected to the soul's core as I remove it. They remind me of my tendrils a little, but much thinner and more interconnected, more like a lattice of vines, really. These structures seem to exert force on the inside of the body, allowing the revenants to move without ever using their muscles. I hold out the soul towards human Theodora. Can you see or touch what I'm holding? I ask. She reaches out, her own hand passing right through the soul. I see nothing, she answers promptly. I nod. So soul contact isn't some property of revenants. I put the soul back inside the body, the slime Theodora waking up with a terrified gasp soon afterwards. What could it be? How is the soul being touched? I absently scratch an itch with one of my tendrils, and funnily enough that's how I figure it out. I grab and hold that tentacle, then yank. Ow! I yelp. Everyone gives me a weird look, but I don't care. I get it now. Since the soul is exerting force on the body to move it, the body can still exert force on the soul as well. The vine lattice of soul stuff that grows inside a revenant's body can be damaged or torn if the parts of the body it's attached to are damaged or torn. So with enough force. Your souls might shatter if you get hurt too bad, I announce. I won't be able to bring you back from that, so no more fighting. Human Theodora raises a shaky finger in Slime Theodora's direction. This thing. She scowls, but nods. Turning her head, she tries to spit on Slime Theodora, though to her obvious irritation she doesn't have saliva. Right. Well, with that out of the way, I'd like to brief everyone as to what we're actually doing here, Penelope announces, stepping in. We're not only blaspheming for the fun of it. This is our immortality research facility. While pure biomancy-based immortality should be possible, the cooperation of metamancers such as yourselves and potentially animancers, once we start to reverse engineer Vita's abilities should speed up the process dramatically. My personal goals include the ability to make living, artificial bodies to put souls in as well, I add. It's the best way I can think of to help the Nora. I, have their souls inside me, by the way. Nice and safe. Penelope nods, while Slime Theodora's eyes go wide. One will help lead to the other, I think, Penelope agrees. It should be invigorating research, not to mention research I hope will uplift our people and our country to ever greater prosperity. I have faith that our collection of magical genius here. And me. Vitamin adds. Should be up to the task. W8. Hold on, Slime Theodora stammers. I feel like I'm missing a lot of context. I'm dead. Vita is a necromancer. And are you even a Nora? I am not, Penelope answers with a smile. And never was, from the moment you met me. Vita is the same. Her eyes go even wider. But Vita, you still want to help us? The devotion radiating from her eyes as she stares at me is delicious. At least Slime Theodora is easy. No, wait. I should be disturbed at how easy. She's conveniently forgetting I killed her and her whole family in the first place. My shard within her pulses, filtering and feeding feelings to the woman who has all the memories of her much more willful counterpart, but none of the experience that gives her the self-control to question. Although, since I have them both here. I do. First order of business, though, Theodora. Both Theodoras tilt their head at me, awaiting command. I point at the former slime in the old man's body. You need a new name. Sorry. Human Theodora had it first, and it'll be confusing otherwise. You wanna be Theodore? We kinda put you in a man. No, she answers, shuddering. I'm a woman, thank you. Wrinkly, cold dick or otherwise. Okay. How about Thea? Dora? I've always been partial to the name Margaret, actually, she answers, thumb and forefinger on her chin. I've always been partial to that name. Theodora snaps. Yes, imagine that, Margaret replies, smirking a little. I chuckle, shaking my head. Ah, Nora. Right, well. Theodora and Margaret, it's good to officially meet you. What do you two think our first step should be? They glance at each other, and after only a brief pause they answer at the same time. Metal. Metal, huh? I guess it makes sense. It's some kind of mana gatherer and amplifier, and we're here to do lots of big magic. That's going to be difficult, Penelope murmurs. I've set all this up to be inconspicuous so far, but if I even try to buy metal, we're instantly going to be under scrutiny. Which normally wouldn't be a problem, but we'll have to continually reapply the masking enchantments since they're not metallically anchored, and any mistakes during that process could temporarily disable them, Margaret continues. Which wouldn't be an instant death sentence, but the frequency at which we'll be doing this means that eventually, someone will notice, Theodora finishes, glaring at her counterpart. I nod, frowning. That does seem pretty important. Can't Grandma help? Vitamin asks, staring up at me with her head tilted. Straight black hair frames her hollow cheeks in a way that I've seen way too many times before. The poor girl she's wearing was almost a skeleton before she died. Still, I can't help but grin when she calls Lynn Grandma. I've no doubt she's doing it on purpose. Well, I don't know a better way to get illegal metal than Lynn the Metal Thief, I agree. We'll have to see if she can safely slip us some. I wish Melik were here, Theodora grumbles. Wait, you didn't tell the Templars about his talent, did you? We didn't, no, I confirm. Is that how you got all the metal for your tattoos? He found it. She nods. Interesting. Well, he's 7 days and change away, so we'll call him a solid plan B. I guess I'm heading back home, then. After I change into my armor. Head back to the bathhouse and give them this, they'll return both our old outfits to you. Would you be a dear and drop mine off at the Hunters Guild? I accept the token, shrugging. I need to go back there to change and store this weird dress anyway. They will let you into the central city with that token, yes. Say you're a servant for House Erebus if questioned, but looking as beautiful as you do they're unlikely to find fault with you. I feel a bit of flushing in my cheeks. Why does that matter? Penelope shrugs. Because that's the way the world works. We talked about this. Now go on and quit staring at me like that. It's just a compliment. It's certainly not the kind of compliment I was expecting, though. People have traditionally had zero cause to appreciate my appearance, being a half-starved gremlin and all. I've occasionally been called cute after getting a bit more meat on my bones, but never beautiful. Vitamin sniggers at me, hand over her mouth to cover her incorrigible grin. Love you, Mom. Tell Grandma and Grandpa I said. Hi. Vita. Hey. Where have you whoa-ho? What are you wearing, girl? Hey, Nora, I respond, walking in to drop the armor on my bed for sorting. Sorry to dump the mission report on you and the boys. Oh, you better be sorry if you went to the baths without me. I'm hurt, Vita. Truly, I am. The dark-skinned woman's grin indicates she may not actually be that hurt, as she walks over to me in her usual white undershorts and tank top. Yeah, I murmur. Sorry. I'll make it up to you somehow. Later. It wasn't really all fun and games, though. How are the luxurious bathhouses not all fun and games, she asks, grabbing some of Penelope's armor and helping me put it away. Penelope basically bought me. I think. I'm apparently a slave, and I had to go meet her fiancé. A bunch of shit with the Templars happened on our not really that secret mission to Lisha, and yeah. Nora tilts her head, scowling. Without the protection of a noble house mucking up their ability to press an investigation, I'll get framed for some big crime. A bunch of politics happened, I dunno. But I think we're at least kinda friends now. She stuck her neck out to save me and stuff. Literally walked in front of a sword, so I can't really complain too much. Still, Vita, that's pretty wild. You'll have to tell me the long version of that story sometime. I bet you're happy to get out of the dress, at least. Extremely, I agree. Not being in armor just makes me nervous. If a person has the option to wear it, why wouldn't they? Nora just chuckles, shaking her head. Not for any reason I suspect you care about, but most people have different priorities from you. You're the odd duck out, Vita. Still, I find it hard to believe the Templars would try to frame you for something. They're super honorable. I shrug. As much of an asshole Gladra was, the truth is that I probably did cause that perception event. While I think it's absurd to kill me over that, I'm just going to stay away from the damn edge, it's not that hard. I can see the Templars' logic, at least. That tentacle. I shake my head, strapping on the last of my armor and securing my knives and spear. I've started carrying 2 knives lately, to have a backup for my backup. I have a new spear as well, to replace the one that Slimus tossed off the island trying to kill Penelope. A long shaft of shaped and sharpened chitin, the weapon is sturdy and apparently quite expensive. A substantial improvement from my last one. Finally, I dig into my bed and retrieve Roscoe, giving him a massive squeeze before securing him once again. Ah, still safe and sound. Welp, see ya, Nora, I say, nodding to my teammate. Leaving already? A slave's life is busy, huh? Yeah, I guess so. I exit the Hunters Guild again, setting out to go visit my family for the second time today. Geez, I'm so tired. I still haven't gotten a proper rest from our last mission, but today is a damn long one, and even after the tail end of our excursion this morning there's still another 9 hours before Needlestone passes over for a brief nighttime. Still, I have a stock of small monster souls from our fights in the forest. They're little more than cheap snacks to me now, but they're still damn tasty and they help keep me awake. I suppose, since I'm going home, I may as well buy them food again. A collection of meals later, I make my way through the back alleys of the city, avoiding the pleading gazes of dozens of beggars. They aren't dying, they don't need me. When I make it home, however, I'm annoyed to find I don't feel Lynn or Rowan's souls at the shack. The kids rush out to meet me, and I ask one of them, Normal? No, right, his name is Norman, where the dynamic duo is. Lynn and Rowan are out with the Drakens again, Norman answers, picking his nose. They're not around a lot anymore. I scowl. No one has come by to bother you guys while they're away, have they? Norman shrugs. Sometimes. People will beat us up or steal food or whatever. We just pretend we ate it. My tentacles snap outward, anger flaring. Some bastards are trying to take advantage of my family. I'll kill them later, I promise. Norman steps back. Okay, he says. Thanks again for the food, Vita. No problem, I answer through clenched teeth, turning around to head out. I'll return in a bit, maybe tonight when at least Rowan is all but sure to be around. I also make a note to remember every soul around my home. When I'm not so exhausted, I'll find the assholes that are apparently beating up kids. I don't have to put up with shit like that anymore, so I'm not going to. Soon enough, however, I notice 2 familiar souls heading my way as I return to the guild. Squigs and Frigs. I change my route and they follow. Well, fine, if they're going to be annoying, I may as well find out what they want to extort from me today. Changing my course again, I walk right towards them. Vita. Friggs calls when we see each other, the short, fat man raising his arms welcomingly. Just the young woman we were hoping to see. We heard you were back in town, and I'm here to tell you, the boss wants a word. The boss? Do they mean boss of the Drakens? Or perhaps just a boss? Well. I'm down either way. I have some choice words and I need some illegally sourced metal anyway. Sure, I answer. Lead the way. Squigs and Friggs look at each other. Well, Squigs comments, that was easy. This is a lark story, content yet seeking more. Shut up. The lark flies far, for she loves naught but to explore. Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. No, I say, turning my head in the direction of the noise. It's a good sound, no. Refusal. Negation. Denial. A sound that means things. Easy and fun to say. When I started losing the hard shell around my body, at first I was afraid. I still am a little, but at least a mouth like this makes the noises much easier to make. And besides, my teeth are as sharp as ever. I return to practicing the fun sounds, to the irritated groans of my two favorite meals. I don't understand most of what they're saying, but I'll remember it. Someday, I'll figure out what the sounds mean, and then I'll know. This is all your fault, the loud one hisses. I'm sorry, the beautiful one answers. I figured out a numbing spell, at least. Are you feeling better? I am sorry, the beautiful one says again. The loud one usually says, Claretta, at some point when speaking to it. Likewise, the beautiful one will say, Fulvia, when talking to the other. Never the reverse. Most sounds are said by both, or not said often enough for me to tell. Those are different. I wonder why. The loud one is horribly, horribly annoying, but particularly delicious, so I need to make sure it lives. Sometimes I try to make it shut up. I even tried binding its face in webs, but the beautiful one tends to start making horrible noises too when I do things like that. It rather defeats the point of keeping it if it doesn't make the healing sounds, so I have to stop. Oh, well. This is easily still the most wonderful part of my short life. Truly, it can't get better than this. Not unless I manage to collect more of these interesting creatures. Soon I tire of practicing noises, crawling over the beautiful one to rest on its belly. Warm and soft, I quite enjoy descending into torpor on it. These strange creatures tend to lose awareness when they rest, which seems silly. How did such creatures survive before they had me to protect them? I let my eyes close, thoughts drifting off and heartbeat slowing. The relaxing bob of my sleeping spot as it inhales and exhales inevitably causes my mind to wander. The first movement, the first feeling, is a fall. Adrenaline rising, heart pumping, the thing which does not know to call itself me feels the drop. The tumble. The instinctive fear, without apparent cause or context. Only an inexplicable knowledge that sometime soon, there would be a crunch. Pain, horrible pain. Crashing endlessly, head over heels, more falls and more crunches follow. Broken and bruised, the beast that would one day recognize itself to be me vomits fluids from its lungs, gasping its first painful breaths. Eyes blink open, liquid gunk and blood getting wiped away as I take my first look at the world. A massive mound of stacked black ovoids lie before me, cracked and smashed. Many still fall, some surviving the trip to the ground largely unscathed, but others impacting on the mound and shattering, disgorging some kind of black creature that stirs a new instinct within me. Hunger. I try to leap towards my meal, only to have pain shoot through my body as one of the limbs I'm apparently supposed to use for the purpose fails to function. It's twisted and leaking in ways quite unlike the limb opposite to it. I feel no desire to care about this in the slightest, simply noting it before dragging myself over to my meal. It squirms and oozes, a long, black carapace with many twitching, spindly bits extending off of it. I enjoy the sight of motion. It whets my appetite. Leaning over the creature, I open my mouth wide and bite down, crunching through chitin and savoring the delicious, juicy prize within. Pleasure fills me as I swallow, but is gone in an instant. My hunger is unabated. Bite after bite, I tear into my prize as it writhes beneath me, relishing the intense joy of the meal for instant after instant, mouthful after mouthful. The experience only makes me want more. Caught in frenzy, I eat and eat until suddenly my teeth sink through flesh and feel no joy in the act. I look down, indignant and furious. More than half my meal still remains, and I am still hungry. Yet I feel no desire to eat it. I take another bite, experimentally tasting and swallowing, but there is nothing. The creature does not move or resist. It is now dead, and for some reason no longer contains what I was eating it for in the first place. Examining the creature, I notice it is the same dark color as both myself and the ovoid from which it dropped out of. Despite our identical color, however, I look nothing like the other creature. Where it is somewhat cylindrical and many-legged, my body has a much different shape, and only 6 limbs. Yet did I, too, hatch from an egg like this? It seems likely I did. I remember tumbling out of something, after all. Perhaps one of the cracked, black things above me. Sure enough, many of the others begin to hatch, dispensing dark-colored yet wildly different creatures that I somehow know are fresh and full of the beautiful, joyous something that I must eat. I try to pounce on one again, and to my belated surprise, it works perfectly this time. My broken limb now looks the same as my others. Eating must have fixed it. How pleasant. Teeth tearing into my prey, I resume gorging myself, shuddering at the delicious splashes of satisfaction that briefly overwhelm my endless hunger with each swallow. Yet this meal is feistier, seeming inclined to bite back. I yelp in surprise as its teeth sink into me in turn, gouging a bleeding chunk from my forelimb in much the same way I'm doing to it. So we are similar, even though we look different. Not that I spend much time thinking about it. Prey is prey. Wrestling this struggling food to the ground, I take more bites from its belly as I hold its face in the dirt. Such wonderful flavor. Pain shoots through me from behind. Another one of my kin is attacking me as well. I kick furiously, trying to shake it off. I am eating. Leave me be. My angry jabs don't dissuade it in the slightest. It's a hulking thing, standing on 2 back limbs and swinging sharp forelimbs that threaten to cut straight through my chitin. I'm forced to turn my attention to fighting it, and when I do, my former meal bites at my leg. Slowly, I come to the realization that many inky-skinned creatures are emerging from eggs around me, screeching and fighting and bleeding and gnawing 2 more head my way now, even. My belly cares not. Stay and fight. Stay and eat. Hissing furiously, I throw myself into the fray, biting wildly at my enemies. My food. All is food. I will consume them to the last. One of my limbs is sheared clean off, but I tear into my target with vigor. Another joins me, stealing my meal, and yet another leaps on top of me, knocking me from my prize and tearing open my leg with their teeth. Suddenly, I'm the one being eaten. A powerful limb holds my head down, my teeth snapping in vain as large chunks of my body are torn out, black blood dripping from the serrated fangs of my tormentor. I have to eat them back. I must, but I cannot move. No matter how I thrash and flail, I cannot free myself. Again and again, teeth tear into my side. Pain and fear join my hunger, and something beyond mere flesh is torn from me with every bite. Soon, I will also lack what makes me a proper meal. Soon, I will also stop flailing and fail to move. No, I don't want this. I refuse. 2 more of my kin jump on the one eating me, knocking it away. The 3 of them engage in a flurry of deadly teeth, leaving me a moment alone. So many more of us rush down from the rapidly hatching pile of eggs. I turn over, one limb missing, blood oozing from a half-dozen absent hunks of flesh. Yet still, my hunger screams at me to join the fray. I refuse it. I must refuse it. I do not want to become empty of the thing that brings joy. I do not want to cease moving. Crawling desperately, I stagger across the ground, splashing the brown and green terrain with black. Panicked and frightened, I move as far as I possibly can, panting gasps of air as my burning body refuses to travel a single step more. Where do I go? What do I do? I'm so hungry. So very, very hungry. Something twitches, and my eyes lock onto it immediately. A many-legged thing, like my first meal, suspends itself in the air, hiding in a nook of brown above me. It is not black, matching instead the colors of the large, brown and green things around me that do not smell like food. This new creature crawls slowly towards me on 8 legs, though I cannot see what it crawls on. Perhaps the air itself, though air has never given my legs purchase. This seems profoundly unfair, and so I decide to eat it. I do not move, because moving causes me pain and my meal seems inclined to approach me. Ever so slowly, I watch it get closer. Ever so slowly, it places itself in range to be consumed. Eventually, it lunges for me. I lunge back. My lunge is better. Delicious, delicious, delicious. This thing tastes far better than my kin. Gleefully, I tear into it, though it survives barely a few bites before its flavor becomes foul. I'm not disappointed by this for long, however, as many more like it descend down around me. I'm afraid, as the last time I fought outnumbered it brought me into this state in the first place. These creatures are barely half my size, though, and the other one I just ate was quite weak. More importantly, I really don't like all this black liquid I'm leaking. I don't like it at all. I want to eat something so it stops falling out. Also, I'm hungry. I'm always hungry, without exception. The pain, the need to gnaw and feast never leaves except for the barest moments when I swallow prey. Even now, the infinite emptiness rages within me, demanding I kill both my prizes. I will not, though. The loud one and the beautiful one are special. Far better tasting than the 8-legged creatures, although I have to admit I much prefer the webs I became able to make from devouring them than this softness I'm getting from my current prizes. I ate the 8-legged creatures for many skygrounds before acquiring my favorite traits of theirs, to my great surprise and delight. These 4-limbed creatures taste better, but their traits are less desirable. Ah, well. I like them anyway. Stretching, I rouse from my rest, that constant ravenousness driving me to move again at last. I suspect I will not need to go far for a meal, however. My traps have caught many targets, hung and waiting for my jaws. As I crawl off my bed, however, the armor around my forelimbs cracks and crumbles, sloughing off onto the ground. I screech in surprise, though the experience isn't painful, at least. Underneath my old arms are new ones, my 4 front limbs now each tipped with 5 tinier limbs. These are the structures the beautiful one used to have before I bit them off. No. I complain, scowling as I flex my new limbs. No, no, no. I scowl. Hands. These soft, wiggly limb tips are going to be terrible for injuring prey. They're already uncomfortable to walk on, although thankfully my hind limbs have been getting better and better at balancing my full weight. I try to extrude my webs and, to my great relief, it seems each of my new limb tips have a tiny spinneret. I won't be able to make the webs as thick as I had before. Perhaps I can just use multiple thinner webs together. I will figure something out. Growling, I stagger as I try to stand on my hind limbs alone. They're getting stronger, but something about them still isn't quite right. I wander off with the assistance of my hands then, wincing as sharp rocks in the dirt press into them in ways I would have previously ignored. It's not long before I see something squirming in one of my many traps, and I happily free one of its limbs so I can better get my mouth around it. Limbs aren't the tastiest part of a creature's body, but that mostly doesn't matter. As soon as the creature dies, it loses all flavor. I don't know why, but that's how it is. I can't eat something when it can no longer move. So I've experimented. I'd rather have more bites than just one good one, and biting off the extra dangly bits first always seems to be the best way to keep my prey twitching as long as possible. When I take out the central bits with all the weird meat inside, it tends to make the prey no longer move, and then it tastes awful. Many more ground skies pass over like this, with my time spent listening to the beautiful one's noises while the loud one complains, soaking in every last sound they make while I nibble away at their ever-regrowing extremities. Today, water streams from the eyes of the loud one as I feast on it, something that hasn't happened in quite a while. I wonder what it means. Am I making them drink too much? I don't remember, the loud one whispers, its voice odd. Perhaps affected by the eye water? What? Fulvia, the beautiful one, turns its head to look at its companion. What don't you remember? Their names, my meal moans. I don't remember their names. Whose names? Fulvia. Fulvia, listen to me. Look at me, please. Claretta, I can't feel it anymore. It's eating me, but I can't feel it. Fulvia, I've already cast the numbing spell. Remember? The loud one has been continually getting more and more annoying, and frankly its taste is also getting worse. Perhaps the beautiful one's songs aren't enough to keep the flavor. I may have to kill them after all. I don't want to do that. I move to the next budding limb nub, the beautiful one halting its less interesting noises in order to sing what made my favorite meal well, the beautiful one. The loud one is losing flavor, but I don't want to kill it. Would I want it if it has no flavor at all? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I finish my meal, walking over to and curling up on the beautiful one again. The pair of them remind me of flowers. I still remember the first time my life stopped being a constant fight for food and survival. Once I had eaten whole nests of the eight-legged creatures and had no other food to consume or flee from. I took a look, for the first time, at the world around me. At the beautiful yellow sky, the brown and green ground, and flecked among all of it the patches of vibrant color that captured my attention. They, too, I could not eat, but I loved them anyway. Yet whenever I tried to move one, to take it with me, it would lose its beauty just a few sky grounds later. Is that why the loud one loses flavor now? Did I move it too far? Oh, another thought. Maybe the beautiful one could heal flowers. Fulvia, the beautiful one murmurs. Fulvia, please say something. Only silence answers it. The loud one sleeps. It's been doing more of that lately, too. Fulvia. I'm sorry. I can't give up on you. Please. Please don't leave me. Water starts leaking from the beautiful one's eyes as well. Fulvia. Please. You're all I have. I rise up, curious now. Walking forward on my greatest prize's chest, I place one of my tiny hands up high on its cheek, patting at the water. What? I ask, Fulval. The beautiful one's eyes go wide, locking onto me immediately. What did you say? I don't quite understand. Confusion for confusion, I think. What? Fulvia. I repeat, taking more time and care with the sounds. That's Fulvia, it answers, motioning its head towards the loud one. I point that way as well. Fulvia. I confirm. Yes. Yes. Oh God, you're not just parroting. You understand. Please. Let us go, please. I tap the beautiful one's mouth with my hand until it stops making noises. I don't know what all that means. It sounds like Fulvia is a term for the loud one, though. Interesting. So if I'm guessing right. Fulvia, I say, pointing at the loud one. Then, I point at the beautiful one. Claretta? Yes, it answers. I am Claretta. Ooh. That was the first time the beautiful one said, Claretta. I think I'm onto something. Fulvia, I say, pointing to the Fulvia. Claretta, I say, pointing to the Claretta I'm standing on. The Claretta's eyes are alight with something. Its face is twisted in an expression I hadn't seen before. Yes, yes, that's right. That's Fulvia, I'm Claretta. It motions at the Fulvia when saying, Fulvia, again. I'm right, I have to be. So next, I point at myself. What? I ask. The Claretta says nothing, its face moving into a new expression again. What? I demand again. I don't know, the Claretta answers. Fulvia, Claretta, I say, pointing at them. Then, back to me. I dunno. The Claretta moves its head back and forth. No, no. I don't know. Oh, it's using no. What I'm saying isn't right. What? I ask again, pointing at myself. I don't know. But that's the thing the Claretta just said is wrong. Ugh. What? I demand, teeth bared. What? 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 Lark, the Claretta blurts. Your name is Lark. If you want. Do you like that? What? Larkernimus Larkihifiontiolenitha, is way too long of a thing to call myself. This food is crazy. Just the first part, though. Lark, I repeat, tasting the sound. The sound I've come to love more than any other. The music of the beautiful one. I am Lark. A new kind of warmth fills me, compelling me to bare my teeth in a much different way. I feel so good. The Claretta had been singing about me all along. Fancy-looking place, I comment, staring up at the massively wide one-story building that apparently serves as the base for the Broken Drakens. I'm not entirely lying, either. Sure, the building is no lord's estate or anything, and that's certainly a fresh comparison in my mind after having been there this morning. Parts of the walls are cracked and stained, and patches of mold cling to whatever they can on the outside of the structure. To my sensibilities, though, it's still a high-class location, sitting at the fuzzy intersection of the city that separates everything else from what I consider to be my part of town. Comprised of wrought stone rather than clay or wood, it makes up for what it lacks in tallness with sturdiness. The two hired killers escorting me snort derisively. Based on the standards of power I'm now familiar with, I suspect they're fairly low-rung for any group that specializes in murder. Cheap hires, but is that all the Drakens could afford, or is it just all they need? They're above the average soul strength of the people in the building, although that's not really saying a lot. There are only 2 souls of any real interest inside. Either way, while Squigs and Friggs are now weaker than I am, they're far from incompetent. They certainly do a good job of tracking me down whenever they want to, and they're a lethal threat to any average person. A pair of tough-looking muscly dudes guard the door, but their souls are so small and uninteresting I barely bother to glance at them until one puts his hand out to block me from entering. Weapons, please, he asks in that polite yet vaguely threatening way that I've known better than to disobey for most of my weak, helpless life. No, I tell the man, glaring up at him. I didn't recently commit a genocide just to be pushed around by this moron. The taller of the assassin pair puts a hand on my shoulder, prompting me to direct my glare his way. It's just standard procedure, little lady, he insists in that greasy way of his. We want to make sure these talks are safe for everyone. Well, you'll be safer if you don't try to take my weapons, I answer, shrugging his hand off my shoulder. I was invited here to talk, wasn't I? If you keep adding conditions to the conversation, I'm going to walk away. Miss Vida, Friggs pipes up from the other side of me, his tone lacking the condescension of his counterpart. I realize you are a hunter and a young woman of the streets, but my compatriot and I lack the authority to allow you in armed. This is the faster way into the building, if you want to finish this business sooner. If not, we can certainly send your request higher up the chain, as it were. I frown, weighing the practicality against my desire to just get this over with. I'm keeping my stuff, I eventually insist again. I'm not talking to your boss without it. Friggs nods as if he expected that, turning to the door guard. Would you kindly go explain the situation? The boss has requested this young lady's presence. The guard glances down and gives me the incredulous look of an idiot that doesn't realize I can kill him with a thought, though he heads inside without a word. I wait in silence for the guy to eventually return, nodding me inside. It's been obvious for a while where I'm going. The largest souls in the complex are huddled together in the same place, after all. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that's probably the boss and either his right-hand men or bodyguards. There are only two I'm confident I won't be able to just casually pull out, though. I'm soon ushered into the same room as them, letting me put faces to the feelings. Standing next to him among a collection of other people that don't really matter is a remarkably eye-catching young woman, partially because of her beauty but far more obviously because she has, for some insane reason, dyed her hair pink. Normally I'd assume it's some kind of kinemancy or particularly wacky biomancy that creates the change in hair color, but it's very obviously dye since, during the process, she seems to have splattered the left side of her face with the stuff. Pink splotches along her right cheek and around her eye mar what would otherwise be blemishless skin, an insane and careless use of expensive dyes made ever more wasteful by having not even been applied correctly. I'm certainly irritated by that, but her soul manages to be so eye-catching I only give it a passing thought. One half of it is a dark, navy blue, cool and swirling like the mist below and clouds above. The other half is a deep black, though in a different sort of way than my eggshell had been. My darkness had been not just a lack of light, but the negation of it, a place warded from being seen. Conversely, the black of this woman's soul is of depth, of vastness, like a cavern inside the island that stretches from end to end. These two halves have a jagged crack between them, like someone broke a rock in twain and rotated one part before trying to put it back together. They do not fit with each other, and between them, in those minuscule, crumpled, grinding cracks a third color grows. A festering purple, dripping and writhing like ooze. I've met a fellow monster. So then, you must be Vita, the boss says, and I'm a little startled to hear his voice sound exactly like a woman's. That's jarring. He's a man, right? I'm certain he's a man. Didn't someone tell me that, or something? I must be Vita, I agree blandly. I'm flattered to be brought to see you directly, sir. He raises an eyebrow, glare quirking into a smile. Oh. Well, you know how it is. A nobody kid with a volcanic rise in power like yours. In my territory. I'm always interested in the story of a person like that. Volcanic? I ask, raising an eyebrow. I've never heard the word. Ah, perhaps I should say, explosive, the boss explains. The point is, you're growing fast. You've obviously awakened to quite the killer talent. I am, of course, in the business of recruiting such talent from our kind of background. I look around the room, unimpressed. Not much of a business if he only has one other person. The inhuman soul of the pink-haired woman starts to stir and I lock my third eye on it. She's not about to blast me, is she? What do you mean, our kind of background? The slums, the boss answers, eyes piercing as he reads my reaction. The streets. The background of starving with nothing while those with everything continue to take. You just look like one of the people that take to me, I answer flatly. Lynn and Rowan don't even have enough time to protect their own kids from thugs anymore. Is that so? The boss asks, his soul pulsing fury like a sudden gout of flame. Well. It's a busy time for everyone in the Drakens right now, but I can give them some time off if it's needed. I scowl. Just like that? I'm instantly suspicious. As if to confirm those suspicions, purple threads start to slide out of the cracks in the pink-haired woman's soul, snaking slowly towards me as they grow in length. And what do you want in return? I ask the boss. He just gives me a confused look. In return for giving a valued employee the time she needs to manage her family affairs? Nothing whatsoever. I don't usually oversee every employee's schedule personally, but I will certainly check with management on the matter. Ugh, he's so prim and proper yet in a weird, mocking way, as if it's some kind of private joke. He wears a fancy nobleman's suit, yet with the shirt untucked and the collar up. I've never seen an actual noble wear it like that, and I'm not sure what it means. Fashion is about the opposite of my thing. I see, I murmur. Well, on the subject of employees, who is that? I point at the pink-haired woman. While multiple tough-looking guards flank the boss of the Drakens, she is the only one that stands directly next to the boss's fancy chair. She smiles vacantly in my direction, her apparent mirth masking the intense concentration I feel in her soul. Presumably, her focus is on extending her pathetic excuses for soul tendrils. Well, perhaps I shouldn't call them tendrils. They're not really anything like mine, being far longer and almost imperceptibly thin. Though they are soul structures, they're clearly not designed for grabbing, holding, or pulling other souls. Especially noteworthy to me, however, is that she does not seem to be casting. Her fingers do not move, she makes no sound with her voice. The purple bits of her soul, and only the oozy purple bits, thrum with the use of a talent. I am, perhaps, not alone. Oh, please excuse my rudeness, the boss exclaims, smiling jovially. I haven't even introduced everyone. I am Sky, the leader of the Broken Drakens. This is Capita, my right-hand woman. And this is... I stop paying attention. Capita, huh? I wait patiently as her purple threads finish leaking out of the crack in her soul, trying to worm their way into my body to reach at mine. To my surprise, they pass in easily, barely even pinging my magic resistance. I probably wouldn't have even felt them if I hadn't been watching. I don't have any intention of letting them complete whatever they're trying to do, however. Wrapping my tendrils around the threads, I gather them up and yank. They break off from Capita's soul with all the resistance of a cobweb. The young woman's pleasant smile evaporates as she staggers forward, clutching at her chest. I pull her detached soul threads the rest of the way inside my body, slurping them up like anima spaghetti. They dissolve within me, destroyed utterly, reduced to nothing but power. It's not even a remotely filling snack, but at least the taste is interesting. I'm always happy to take a free meal. Capita, the boss inquires, noticing his underling's reaction. I don't appreciate being invited here and having spells cast on me, Mr. Sky, I say coldly. Tension passes through the room as everyone in it starts to become aware that Capita and I had a magical exchange that nobody else even noticed was happening, and I won. Capita's soul is huge, certainly larger than mine and perhaps even Penelope's. Sky's is similar, though a bit smaller. But if Capita is just going to send tiny threads at me instead of bringing that full soul to bear, I have more than enough strength to stop her. My most sincere apologies, Sky says smoothly, languidly pulling his gaze from Capita back to me. It won't happen again. Yeah, I bet. So, what do you want from me? I ask plainly. I want you to join the Drakens, Sky answers, matching my tone. Well, I drawl, you haven't exactly made a very good impression so far. And I'm pretty damn busy nowadays. So I think I'm going to say no. Vita, the boss of the Drakens begins, steepling his fingers. I grew up starving in the slums I now call my territory, just like you did. From what I know about you, you came into sudden power and decided to use it, pulling your family up out of the jaws of death with strength alone. A hunter. A truly dangerous job, but one you have clearly taken to with aplomb. But you could do so much more. I roll my eyes. By all means, enlighten me. Sky doesn't seem to take offense, only leaning forward with apparent excitement. Thanks to you, your family prospers. With me, you can help make the whole city prosper. Do what you're doing to your family, but for everyone. Really, I growl. You're helping the city. The slums? I have lived here my entire life, and I have never once seen the Drakens do anything remotely helpful for anybody. You've been extorting and sucking money up from my family since before I met them. The boss raises a thin eyebrow. I have indeed been sucking up money, as you put it, but there has never been extortion involved. The man of your house simply gambles all your money away. That's hardly my fault. I blink, suddenly struck dumb for words as the anger I've built up for this conversation falls over and sputters. Rowan? Yes, that's his name. Sky agrees, snapping his fingers. Rowan. He's a gambling addict, my dear. Why do you think I keep such a talented individual at the lowest rung of our organization? We can't tell him anything important. Why, I bet almost anyone could just come along and bribe him into spying for them, what with how much he owes us. No. No way. I don't believe it. Rowan. He's literally a con artist, he knows gambling is a sham. And he's good. He's the one always worried about whether or not I'm doing something wrong with my powers, he's the one that brings home all the money that we buy food with. I mean, until I started doing that. And the amount he buys food with is always a lot less than the amount he keeps. And he is in debt to the Drakens. Holy shit, I'm going to murder him. Maybe not actually, but still. And that line Sky said about spying, does he know? I recognize that your family isn't fond of me, Vita, Sky continues. And I recognize you have good reasons not to like me. I would simply like to change that. You really expect me to just be happy with you out of nowhere? You're not giving me any concrete reason to think you're anything you say to be. You don't care. You just want me now because I'm strong. You're not that strong, Sky counters, smiling. But at the rate you've been growing, I believe you will be. I won't deny that's why I want you. But I believe I have much to offer you as you have to offer us, perhaps even more. If, of course, you're willing to listen. Oh. Oh. I see now. You would get along really well with Penelope, I realize. I'm sorry. Sky asks, tilting his head and flashing an unamused smile. Penelope, I repeat. My teammate? Third Lady Penelope Vesuvius. You're a lot like her. The boss's face twists into sudden fury, and I feel talents activating from people all around the room. That was, apparently, the wrong thing to say.